actual Q&A if anybody shows up.
Yeah.
I think that would be phenomenal.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
So has anyone else, like other than just a couple people, like said anything on the chat?
No, we
So-
got pretty quiet folks.
So just so you're aware, I Call Me Lola is a girl I know.
Oh, okay, good.
If I
We're
just
glad that
leave it
you
at
know
that.
girls.
Uh-huh.
What are you talking about? Okay, anyway, moving on. I'm sepia tone, and I'm going to change it now.
So anybody tuning in right now, we've been thrown a little loop schedule here, or schedule adaptation at the last minute. Our game master for the evening has been hoodwinked by life and cannot attend. So we're in this kind of weird conundrum where we have another adventure waiting for us that I could run, but we don't want to throw off our time continuum too much. For ourselves, it's hard to kind of move back and forth through time, remembering what your characters are doing before or after. We've already got one of those threads running in the background in a different group, and it's already hard enough to manage, though it does bring some interesting things into play. Being able to know what the future holds and not being able to talk about it is still hard.
Yeah.
It is.
I think the worst part is fault. If you actually do start something, you would have to start it with Bjorn sitting in this weird stasis.
Well, yeah, that's where I was at. I'm like, well, so if we went on the mission I have written, it would take us very far from where we currently are. And I could say it's either before or after this time period. But then if we run for a week and then John comes back and wants to jump in, we've got to unplug from that, reinvest in this.
Yeah. I mean, it's like getting into a book and then like just stopping and then going back to another book, and then you kind of get some things, wires can easily get crossed. Yeah.
Well, then there are those of us who are actually existing in dual universes, right? So we've got to hold Tuesday night session and Thursday night session separate. And if we have 2 Tuesdays and 1 Thursday,
I don't know if I could manage that. I'm not gonna lie. It's already a lot with the 2 groups. It's a lot. Me and Keith chatted on Thursday for half hour after Thursday, and we were just both like, well, at least my comment was, man, I don't know how you've been doing this long. It's a lot to play twice a week. A lot. And like, it's fun and I love it, but it's a lot.
I can't imagine how Keith is pulling off this and actually designing and running one session. When he was running 2 sessions at a time, that was bonkers. I can't
anything
imagine.
on autopilot?
we were very deep into COVID at that point, and I think we were all looking for a place to hide. Yeah. And it was a welcome retreat from reality.
Yeah, agreed.
True. So true.
Yeah, but I kind of burned a few social bridges in my own hands for that. So I had to kind of back off. So when John offered, it was like, I think it was September. So we'd been running from April to September, 2 groups, pretty much consistently. And then John's like, I've got stuff I want to run if you want to break. And I'm like, yeah. And he's been pretty consistent. We've been back and forth since September, taking turns. And we haven't had a lot of communication with each other about campaign overarching themes, right? John's been pretty good about kind of finding places off the map from where the major thread is running, so he can just kind of play
there. It's his own sandbox.
Yeah. So that's been nice. I mean, the whole adventure he wrote where we went into, to Bathory's castle, that was all kind of the annexed lands that the Keurig Union took as they moved south into, where were we at? What was that major town?
It was
Budapest.
Yeah.
Budapest.
So, and he's actually doing a big expansion of the Keurig Union. So he's taken the model that's in the book and he's fleshing that out. It probably will be its own standalone. So I think at some point in the future for like a second edition book, that'll just get folded in so that Burgundy is just one.
Yeah, they are an oppressive location.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I just military despots, but like military city states.
Yeah.
Entirely, with a kind of a. I don't know if it would be an authoritarian head, but it wasn't. It isn't. There's not really a head. It's just a culmination or amalgamation. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah.
But
well, the whole concept behind the Keurig Union was kind of what if the Keurig Union had a rebellion inside where the people rose up and kind of formed something much like the United States, where each of the major provinces became a state that answered to a federal government. But in this case, the federal government is a military autocracy. Yeah, they're kind of dictating the whole thing and they're representing each of the regions.
So are we talking like an actual working model of the Soviet Union?
Maybe.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah.
And there's certainly some things that get batted around in there. And because the KU never reconciled or made good inroads with the Alakara, they're kind of cut off from the magic the rest of Europe has.
Okay.
They've got that internal group that are of druids that is really fostering the whole Earth First movement kind of thing.
Yeah. And that
what were they called? The Brotherhood of Man or something like that? It's in my notes somewhere. Well, they're in the other room.
Yeah, but essentially it was, they were trying to juxtapose and say this is alien magic, right? There was a magic here before these Alakara showed up, and that should really be what humanity embraces. But they're a distinct organization separate from the government, because the government, being kind of a military-run regime, doesn't want to put a lot of stock in these old world, concepts from the Druids. So that might cross down the road at some point.
It gives them an edge. It gives them an angle that not any of the other states or the other participating nations really have, except for the Berbers and Montenegro.
Are they druids or are they?
They're druids.
Something else.
Yeah,
they are druids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which it's hilarious because you've got this chain of Calderari, this nomadic gypsy sort of folk that move between Clovia over to the Keurig Union, and you can tell that ancestry just kind of crosses over those boundaries, and so they seem to embody that natural feel more than many of these other nations who are much more structured and so forth, but they are unruly to say the least.
Just a touch.
Just a touch. But I find it fascinating because everybody has their own take on where things are at. Kind of what is magic and what is your source of power.
What's been fun to watch is how John has been using the book as kind of the launch pad for each of these things. When we went to Magnetia, he clearly had read the section on Magnetia and taken it to heart and really fleshed it out.
Right.
It was fun to kind of see a paragraph turned into an entire, mission / adventure.
Right.
And have it come home in a way you're like, oh, yeah, that is what I meant when I wrote that down.
Yeah, it's very true. It's like he kind of, and almost all the entire thing was actually recorded, right? So I mean, it's kind of like a great demonstration of, okay, I'm going to take this piece of Burgundia and just inhabit it.
Yeah. Well, and after we finished that, I didn't really look anything up during the play because I didn't want to spoil anything.
Mhm.
But I went and looked up the Drachenfels Manor, and it's amazing. I mean, if you just put in Drachenfels CH instead of K, like I was doing early on,
Me too.
it's an amazing estate, and I was like, wow. And John's deep research is always one of the benefits of him running anything. You're getting a history lesson, even in a weird way.
Yeah, even if it's alternate, it's still history.
Yeah. So, and weaving in the whole backstory of the Titanic was pretty cool.
That was very cool. I really appreciated that little subtle punch of or accent that happens with the Ismay side of things. I mean, I don't know where that happens or how that gels, because it's like, did Bruce Ismay actually retire to Ireland?
Yeah,
Magnetia?
I didn't look any of that up.
Yeah.
Kind of. My new reality is the one John threw in our lap.
Yeah. That's basically the same feeling I got. Was like, how did that go? And what was that?
And that's the thing, right? It's an alternate history. So even if you wouldn't find Bruce Ismay as one of the, Titanic's founders or whatever, well, dude, like this, right? This one was, so you'd have some liberties.
The whole beauty with this alternate reality is you can go find any interesting point and say, let me recast that in the light of this new reality and see what kind of story we can spin.
Yep.
And even the other group, Mike, where you're dealing with the Curragh Union Middle Welkin exploration teams.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and found some of the real scientists that were working in the late 1800s, early 1900s on various projects. I'm like, yep, pull him in. What would have happened to this person had a metaphysical plane existed, and now their science could fork and go a couple directions.
Well, you already explored that to some extent with Einstein, and I imagine this was kind of an offshoot of that research you did, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it kind of it's self-perpetuating.
That's what's really cool. Yeah, I mean, there was a time you did like the one adventure, which of course then turned out to be the Dark Ulf's adventure, and you just said make up a character, and so I found it very fun to actually try to find somebody real who I could just kind of like flip and adapt, and that's where like Jack O'Connell came up, because I wanted to do kind of the brogue accent anyway, but somebody who was like from Vinland, right, and was kind of like a street criminal, because it fit to be a rogue. And I'm like, oh, cool, let me inhabit this guy. I'll pull a real picture for him, and right, I just have fun.
Yeah, the overlap, unfortunately, of Jack and Jack was challenging. That was a challenging moment.
Did I get a nickname? I forgot. Yeah.
You're like, I go by this, but my real name's this, and it's like, we're gonna go
John.
by
Yeah, that's right. That's why I went by John. That's right.
But which then that's also confusing there. It's like,
we've got a real John and a fake John, and two Jacks, but one's a nickname.
Right. But that was the real person who was this 1930s kind of like minor, thug, was somebody who actually was like Jack O'Connell, but he went by John, and these other kind of like nicknames. Like he idolized Billy the Kid, and so yeah, it kind of gave me an easy launch point, I guess I'd say, which is kind of fun for people who like history.
Yeah.
So I think that one thing I'd like to know. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'd really like to, and you say it out loud, because I never actually heard your origin story for Burgundia. Like, there you were in Switzerland, and you're like, what if elves came? I mean, like, what was the...
Well, I suspect, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Keith.
Go ahead.
You started building this towards the end of Acheron?
Yeah. The spark came from Dave, who talked about noir kind of stuff. He's always kind of been big into the idea of kind of a jazz club, smoky atmosphere kind of thing. And he's like, that'd be kind of fun to play. And I kind of just held on to that kernel as we were finishing up the Acheron campaign. And it was middle of summer when I got word that I might be going to Switzerland. I think it was November 6th that we were going to be flying out. And so I jumped on Google Maps and started scrolling around and looking around the place and just seeing what was over there. Because in my head, I didn't have a clear separation between Switzerland and Sweden.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Yeah. So, I mean, part of it was like, I knew I was going to this country and I wanted to kind of understand where it was I was going and what the culture was and where we were going to be, because the office I was going to was in Bern. But Bern has got a lot of behaviors that kind of, they want to be old school. They have a municipal airport, but there's no international airport because they don't want planes flying into this old, fortification town. So all traffic either goes to Geneva or Zurich. So I'm going to be landing in Zurich, taking a train ride across the country. And even when we landed, the partner I was there with from the company, we decided to take the slow train on the outside rather than the quick train kind of through the lowlands. But I had this kind of Utah mentality where the train goes from one place all the way to another and you never have to get off. So we got to Lucerne and there was a couple sitting across from us on the side of the train that looked towards the mountains. We were kind of looking out towards the valley and we're like, oh, they've got a better view. They got off the train. We moved to their seats and we were like, okay, we're going to be on time to our meeting. Well, then the train starts going back the way we came and we're like, oh crap, we're going back where we just came from.
Oh shoot.
And so we had to go back.
The world becomes suddenly three-dimensional instead of just being, oh, this is a game.
Yeah. And it extends the time where you explore personality alongside the world and the adventure you're on. And to me, one of the coolest mechanisms that we've fallen into in this is the mission-based imperative, right? We have non-mission adventures that are just kind of hangout times or personal agendas that get catered to. But by and large, we sit down with a briefing. Here's the objectives, and then you're off and running.
Yeah.
And we can change the cast at those points. So anybody can go on those missions. We just have to adjust and say, well, okay, who's mission lead? Who do you select for this mission? We have some artificial constructs where we need the player characters to go along, but what NPCs are going with us?
Yeah.
So, and it makes it easier to write adventures because there's a early formula of, well, what do I want them to accomplish? In a lot of the fantasy role playing we did, it wasn't clear what your objectives were.
Yeah,
not always.
There might be a bad guy out there, or the sheriff comes to you and says, my men have been wiped out. I need you to go look at this goblin camp, right? That's about the direction you get. You go out and you slaughter stuff, you come back with their treasure.
Yep. The murder hobo approach.
Murder hobo approach.
It's like, okay, goblins over here, these goblins actually have a city that, and they're trying to live in their own space, but
right.
All the humans are just trekking through their space. So what you have is like, well, let's send out some adventurers to make sure that road is clear. But it's just like basically going and attacking the indigenous people to say, by the way, this trade route is ours, and if you attack it, we're just going to actually kill your entire village. We're going to wipe you off the map.
Murder hobo is just another word for manifest destiny.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny when you pull everything and put it into that context, and it's like, we're not supposed to be here. We're going into somebody else's lands, into somebody else's space, and we are taking it slowly but surely.
We will civilize these goblins, or they will die.
We're going to civilize the lands. We don't care about the goblins. They're considered animals at this point.
They're subhuman anyway, using the context, unless you're in a piezo world and suddenly they've got a little bit more status.
Well,
Right.
all of the different worlds. Well, that's the thing. When you say, "Oh, something is evil," and therefore it deserves to go away. It deserves to get extinguished or die or something like that. And it's like, let's take that into context too. What is considered evil in this situation?
Well, I mean,
can Banny sleep with it?
we've done away with alignment in Burgundia, and I don't think I've had an alignment written on my character sheet in 5 years for that very reason. Is it's all everybody thinks they're an okay to good person. It's just a matter of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair. I mean, I literally only write down chaotic good on my character so that I know that I'm kind of not into authority, and I want to do, from what my character's perspective is, to your point, good things, as opposed to things that are only self-serving, right? Or yeah.
But I mean, somebody who
That's
does
not
self-serving things thinks that's the right thing to do. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's all like a matter of perspective.
Perspective,
Well,
context.
Get this on its head, right? When you go to invent a villain, finding a villain who remains a villain is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at kind of the idea, what was it? In order to defeat my enemy, I must learn to love him, kind of thing. If you understand the villain's perspective, by the time you understand him well enough to defeat him, you don't hate him anymore. So you got to find a way to make these things either irredeemable, or if they are redeemable, you have to make sure you give the players some kind of avenue to see that, so that they don't just go in there and
yeah. It's like draw down on the guy without hearing what is going to be said, or you need to, and that's why monologuing, and especially in video games or something like that, they usually put you in this fenced area where you can't draw your weapon, or you don't have your weapons, and then it's like you get to hear the actual discussion, the thought process of this particular individual, and then you go, okay, now pick up your weapons and shoot them. You're gonna open up the gates to go and get them. Yeah, but
Keith knows better than to monologue, though.
yeah.
He very rarely does.
I got trained to not do it. I mean, Dave would never let me monologue, right? If I started to monologue, he'd pull out whatever weapon and go to war.
I think you used to count your sentences. If you had more than 4 sentences without us saying something, it was time to just pull a trigger, right?
Absolutely.
There was some messy situations in Acheron where exactly that happened. It's like, if you say one more thing, and the guy's this thuggish guy. What was the city with the bay in it?
Dowry,
yeah.
Out of her childhood in a boarding school, I'm like, I'm going to combine this into something. But yeah, I was an homage to Robin the Gunslinger, a troubled character in Dave's past.
Her. Oh.
Yes. That's why I chose the name Robin.
Oh.
I just was Robin in the original? I can't remember. Was Robin in Acheron?
She was in Dowry. They
were both with Y, yeah.
That's why I chose Y. Yeah.
No, she was in Lawfordin.
No, she was Lawfordin because it was they had a fight on the street, and it was in the southern part of town, just outside of the pub that we always used to go to.
The street duel.
The street duel. And I remember when
the tank gunfighter.
Yeah. The guy who drew on her inside of the building too. It's like you saw there were like a bunch of different people who kind of moved into this space, and they were there to kill her, to take a bounty on her. And we were there to back her up when it happened. I can't remember exactly how that went down, but I do remember she had like a pocket gun, where somebody she had a pocket gun, boom, poof, and shot the guy who was there to basically punch her ticket. And he was a kind of a legislative sort.
Was this the floppy hat man?
Floppy hat man. Yes.
The floppy hat man.
Yep.
It's funny what names they end up getting.
Yeah.
He's got a floppy hat. Oh, he's that kind of guy. Okay.
Well, didn't he kill him, and then, or she killed him, and then the other like mercenaries or whatever were like,
oh, we're not getting paid anymore. We're out.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. And so
Floppy
as soon
hat
as
was the money bags.
yeah, it's like we already got paid to come here, and he's not going to pay us more to get out of here. Accounts are settled. We're out. That was
That's great.
phenomenal. That was actually phenomenal. Oh.
There was some good tension that night because it felt crispy in there. I'm like, oh,
we
this
were
could
gonna
go
we were
so
gonna
many
have
ways bad.
it was gonna be a hard time. We're gonna have a hard time because there were a
what
lot
were
of
those guys? The salamanders or something like
oh,
that?
flavor. The red
Yeah,
salamanders.
salamanders. Yeah,
It's like
they were from the island of Acheron, where they'd come over. Yeah, God,
and she was royalty. She had a royalty background.
She was like a duchess or something.
Yeah, she inherited her estate, which is why she disappeared for a while.
Like I'm not. Oh yeah, she went back to it and she came back again. It's like, come with me or something. I don't remember, but yeah, good times.
Good times.
Hey, get out of my
Acheron.
space.
Acheron was a really cool world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as we 3 years in there,
yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Well, more than that. I mean, right? Because would you consider the adventure that followed not Acheron at all?
That's still Acheron.
That's Acheron.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys spent a lot of time in there.
Just the Oriental Adventures version of.
Yeah, that was a cool idea that was poorly rendered.
I think that we talked about that before. I think the only thing that we could say was like, maybe a little more time on the clock. I don't know.
Well, yeah, just getting rid of the time crunch would have fixed that whole campaign, I think.
Right. It would have made it
that
feel
last,
more organic.
That last leg. Yeah.
Man, because and very similar to how I feel right now in Burgundia, we had this whole moment where we had the trees and the movement through the different planes that you could take through these basically transportation devices that would move you between the planes.
The nether trees or whatever. Ether trees.
Ether trees, I think that's what it was.
Yeah. That was so cool.
I loved the mobility that we had through the different planes. And then we went across to that island just outside of Loferton, and it was just this...
Shilara?
Yeah.
Good God, Michael.
Did it have a lot of trees?
That was good. But yeah, going over there, I was fascinated with what happened in that space. I mean, we transitioned through the planes, we explored all these different things. There was stuff there that we couldn't get to unless we had transited between the planes and gone back there. But we never went back.
We never did. We never went back for that stuff.
I remember looking at it. It's like, what is it? What is it? We can't do anything with it. And that was that. But of course, I don't remember how we figured it out. It was like you're just traveling by the will of your mind, which is very similar to how it works in the Middle Welkin.
Well, Acheron was absolutely foundational for Burgundia. I mean, there was so many ideas that kind of got percolated in there that got matured up here. I mean, even remember the race around Dowry?
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah.
Oh,
that was very
horrible.
1920s or 30s, motor vehicles. Yeah.
I'm having a hard time not like recreating that in some way because that
You got to do an homage, man.
I thought you were going to do that with the Isle of Man. I thought you were going to set up that. I mean, the motorcycle circuit. I thought we were going to somehow get into that motorcycle circuit, but
I don't know. I'm still waiting for him. Once the war gets a little more up and going, he's gonna drop in Silver Arrow or whatever.
Go.
Oh God,
we're so well known, so it has to be somebody else entirely. In fact, like in moments like this where we don't have a game. Mm-hmm. I think you need to roll up a character for me because I suck at rolling up characters. But you do such a great job doing it for me.
You made Hakar.
Hakar, but it was very spontaneous. The Hakar thing was very spontaneous.
Right. That means it came from inspiration.
I think that's the issue is you spend too much time crafting this perfect character
Right.
outside of the game, and then when you go to play him, he doesn't work.
It doesn't perform.
Spontaneous, Eric. Let's see it. What do you got right now? What's your new character?
I see.
He's a crisp old man from, gosh, where would it be? Because there's so many different accents. I mean, straight Alaman. But basically a ex-general of sort or ex-military of sort, and just proper. But you see, that's the thing. I would have to speak very. Anyway, I don't know. I can't. No, not right now.
Your characters need to always have a sense of vulnerability, right? I think playing a general, even a retired general, is too hard to sustain. Your heart is very open and welcoming and risk taking, which retired warriors just don't have that.
Don't. Well, we saw that Bjorn does not have the softness. He does have the demons. I mean, if you were to say that there's that softness is really in the fact that he has to drink a lot in order to get most of that stuff to go away.
Yeah.
I would like to see John when John gets a chance to run Bjorn as a player character again. I like it when he embraces his demons, when he plays to lose, right? That whole my character's arc is more important than my survivability.
Right.
Because when you really embrace that side of things as a game master, it's really hard to coup de grace you.
Yeah.
Where's my armor? It's off. This is my heart. You can finish it right now.
This is
like I would be
just kill me.
Shoot.
No, I mean, one of my favorite times with Bjorn in any of the roles that we were playing was when he was opening up about his time, right, working for the bad guys. Yeah, I mean that was meaningful. That was good. That was like some of that vulnerability coming out. But Robin could have done him, but then he got all like, "I'm magnificent again." Well, she walks away.
His whole thing of the scar tissue and putting himself on the other side, he fought for the bad guys essentially.
Right. And
it wasn't until late in the war or after the war that he saw the sense of it, moved out of his country, moved to Burgundy, and kind of, I'm a cab driver now with a machine gun in my garage.
With the machine gun. And
of course.
So many other lovely things, grenades in the backseat. It was fun I mean, there's always a knife somewhere next to him, or there's a gun somewhere next to him, and I was looking in the cab, and it's like he goes, "Oh, there's a shotgun underneath the seat." And I open it up, and there's a shotgun and a case of grenades, and it's like I'm sitting on top of a pile of grenades. And I basically tell him that, and it's like, should I be worried? What's going to happen here? You're pretty good on the roads, right? Because they're kind of loose, and it's like rocking around back there, and
they're not even in a box.
It's like, okay, just don't swing too hard.
I would say also, though, Eric, don't be necessarily hesitant to, if you like, start with that inspiration, right? I mean, like, you could be a failed general. You could be Tagarin, who like then became an alcoholic, who then had to come back.
Still one of the most inventive character builds I've seen in a long time.
Tagarin was a fantastic character.
Tagarin was good. Yeah. Keith, we've talked about Alemannia a little bit, you and I, about their role in the Great War. Didn't they largely sit it out?
Yep. I mean, so there's a little tension there where John has kind of employed them in one way, and I've kind of established them in another, and those ideas are kind of in conflict. I mean,
suppliers, they kind of supplied the Clovian front.
I had read a book just prior to this where it was a time travel based thing, where this guy in the modern era went back in time to take care of the Grand Duke,
Archduke
Ferdinand.
Duke Ferdinand, right?
Yeah.
To prevent the war from even getting started. And that's kind of where I was introduced to German society before World War One and the utopia that they were building, right? This absolute, clean, organized, advanced, forward-thinking society holding the World's Fair, and everything they made was just amazing. And to see that kind of cast into the First World War and then, further run off the rails in the second, I'm like, well, what if that didn't happen? And that's where that whole idea came from.
But you're saying that John kind of wants to still take the slant of, but they're the financiers.
When he was doing his first draft of the Shadows book, he was using a lot of German language on top of the Clovian French stylings. I'm like, John, you don't have to copy paste the German villainy that we're used to hearing. There's plenty of words in French that will do the same thing. So can we flip those a little bit? And he still wanted to have, because they were supplying each other and there were kind of backdoor alliances, he kind of softened the border more than I wanted to. It doesn't really break anything, but everybody's going to do their own thing with it.
It means Alemannia is a little more sympathetic to the Clovian cause, but really it's a financial benefit more than it is like a political. But at the same time, the political is so influenced by the financial. They've pulled away from aggressions. They're just kind of saying, well, just let whatever is boiling or starting to boil, we're going to let that all be handled over here. But I expect outrage when Visigonia was starting to get trounced, or the Visigoths being pushed basically into the sea.
Well, I was under the impression that they were still trying to be hands off, like, oh, that's a Clovia Visigonia problem. Alemannia is fine.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that aggression is not moving up, and it's not moving our direction. It's moving south, and that's just fine.
Visigonia is kind of a perfect
step
country to pick on, because they used to be part of Clovia before the war.
Yeah.
But there were some ethnic boundaries that got driven up and say, well, we're our own country now. But in their rise to their independent state, corruption just went through the entire system, and it's really a failed state. As much as they want to believe, well, we're independent, we've got our own thing, they can't marshal a decent military. They have to use Burgundian coin, the lira, in order to have a stable financial system. So that's the only reason Burgundia has any investment in them, is they're trying to protect their currency.
Yeah.
You see, the Clovians need to come in so that we can make it all good again. Yeah. Make it great again.
It's a perfect scapegoat to have military stuff happening without the rest of the world being incensed, right? Because the minute Clovia steps outside of that war or finishes it and looks to another border, it's world war.
Right. It gets way more serious. It's like, we're just taking Poland.
Yeah. The only other border that might be less contested is Icenia Sud, right? That little upper northwest corner.
I suspect Icenia would just let that go, but then regroup.
But not after, but not before Dunkirk.
Right.
But circling back to Alemannia and your failed general, Eric. Does that conversation change the flavor of your new character at all?
Right.
They weren't heavy in the war.
Right. So you're an armchair general.
General.
Well, he would have to have been a position of power, and something bad happened with his command, and took a forced leave or something along those lines. Still astute and practical, and I don't know, maybe a little too rigid. See, me just saying that off the cuff, I could see the gentleman. What?
Well, okay, go with that. What you just said. What if that was the issue? What if he was more of the maverick, or didn't really fit in so well with all the other, right? And so it's like, get rid of this guy. And whether it was real or was framed, then he lost his authority.
Well, and with Alemannia supplying Clovia, maybe your guy thought that they shouldn't do that, and so he spoke up about it up against his chain of command and was given
early retirement.
Exactly.
Early retirement, and
without pay.
But that would also tie him more likely into being Burgundia sympathizer and recruited into Knockrichter, because you have to keep that in mind. If he's not a Burgundian national, it is probably easier as an high element, as an Alemanni, but anybody that's not Burgundian needs to have a reason to be recruited by Knockrichter.
Yeah. And in the other aspect of all this, I see him as somebody who's a loner in this little cabin, and he's been sitting there for a very long time, cooling his jets, cooling his heels. He would be a fighter, but primarily either a saber or.
Ooh, we have a weapon for you. The Elgin.
The what?
It's a kind of an older style sword with a single shot pistol.
Oh,
ooh,
that would probably fit this particular guy. He falls into a duelist kind of character. It wouldn't be a swashbuckler. I mean, we don't have any straight fighters in this game.
Morek.
Really?
Morek. Well, and he's a fisticuffs fighter, right?
Fisticuffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy, he would be swords. He would be guns, but it would be close range engagement, and he would always.
I think we give you the Elgin. Is that what we ended up calling it? Let me pull up that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Elgin. The Elgin is the historic name, I think.
I think I had it based out of Montanica as a gun the Pyrenees guides would use.
Can you separate it, or is it just built in?
It's built in.
So you use it like a pistol, but it's a single shot, isn't it?
It's a
breech load.
Oh my god!
Or wow. Yeah, is that no? Breech load would be from the rear.
It's a muzzle load.
Yeah.
It's a muzzle load.
Muzzle load. Okay. Oh, breech load. That's
yikes.
So, but with something like that, you're basically you stabbed him and you shot him, or you
shoot them as they approach and then draw. Yeah, it's primarily a melee weapon. Is really what it is.
I think
what's the handle like?
We designed it so that you could stab and then pull the trigger in the same action.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's just nasty.
It's a very clever.
So is the handle though like a pistol?
Historically, yes.
Okay.
It looks like an old flintlock, with that really curved pistol.
Yeah.
Oh
Handle.
man.
I'd go. Let's see.
I couldn't imagine loading that after stab, shoot, and it's like, I'm just gonna keep stabbing.
Yeah.
That's why it's primarily a melee weapon.
And it's a flavor weapon, right? This probably isn't the most practical thing, but it certainly looks intimidating.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
stab you.
They're like from the previous century, so they're a little bit dated, but I feel like it would be perfectly fitting in a Alemanni general's scabbard.
How cool. Yeah.
I think that's a great place for that to exist, actually, not Montanica or whatever. I think that should be a high element Alemanni.
That makes sense.
Right. It's German efficiency.
Well, it's more of them just holding on to their past a little bit, that where they were the premier technology. Society of Europa.
They wore their epaulets and armor a little too long.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't seem to come off.
Well, I was excited about the investigator. And actually, he was built really well to fight. Benny is not built to fight. He's built to talk, unfortunately. Maybe fortunately.
I think it's a good thing.
Goes both ways. But, yeah.
Well, and we've kind of established early on, Knockrichter wasn't recruiting special forces people and, military stuff. I mean, it was really based off of that whole idea of what was the British bulldog? What's his name? Churchill's Secret Army.
Secret Army, yeah.
And they were just taking regular people off the street because they wanted people who could blend and that were not heroic. It's heroic to not be heroic and do heroic things. So I mean, we even kind of tried to dumb down our builds to a degree to say, well, we're not going to be epic. We're not going to have every point in the world and maximize and walk around.
If we were in a fantasy world, my character would not look like he does. I can tell you that 100%.
Yeah.
But as a college student, pugilist, yes.
Yeah, it works. It works. He's fine.
Well, it was fun to have him exercise his background in the boxing match. That private boxing match up at the Gooch Hotel.
Yeah, up in Lucerne.
Yeah.
Well, that ties into what you were talking about earlier with a villain staying a villain. We got real close to Camino, and I don't know if we really consider him a villain anymore. For better or for worse.
Well, actually, the idea behind his whole character was to make somebody a villain who you wouldn't mind hanging out with, right? This guy is going to be charming. He's got some sincerity. He's got some dark ideas, but who doesn't?
So it's like he's your version of The Sopranos. You just get into it. It's like, I kind of like Tony, though. I like Tony. Don't do anything to Tony, man.
I can see he's under a lot of pressure. He's got people to take care of, and if he doesn't do that, they're going to come for him.
Yeah.
Well, and then when we figured out he has ties to Clovia and Echelon, we're like, oh, okay, we can use this, and we did.
Yeah.
I mean he's the reason we went over to Alpha.
That was a long ass mission.
It was 2 missions really tied into one.
Yeah.
Did you guys burn his cover though? Did he?
No.
Still maintained.
I believe it's still intact.
Wow, that's cool.
Because I think everybody who knew died except for the one Bayan, who I don't think he holds it against Camino. I think he holds it up against Knockrichter for blowing his cover in Ampha. So I suspect Camino's good to go as far as all of his contacts and everything.
Does Camino know that you guys
played
the line?
No, I don't believe so. If he does know, he didn't let us lead on that he knew.
Yeah.
He played it cool if he did realize something was up.
There were a few times where you guys were not just regular Joes. It's like, especially the whole thing with Axel climbing the rope to the airship, picking up the air crew, taking the ship, crash landing into the other ship.
Well, okay, so we were clearly not average Joes, but he doesn't know we're Knockrichter unless he figures it out after that mission.
You guys really didn't give anything away organizationally.
We tried to be very careful.
Well, and even on that whole ship, the Bayan was he was trapped, right? He normally could do a little feeding here and there or just swap somebody out, but it was risky now because there was basically a hit squad on board. And you can't run on a ship.
No. Well, and then we defeated his pirates.
Yep. Well, and he couldn't even leave the ship because he needs a soft spot in the middle welkin to transition. He can't just leave. So, yeah, it was kind of a fun cat and mouse. So I'm like, I've got this like super lethal villain who will remain a villain.
Yeah.
But I couldn't exercise everything and still have a future.
Yeah, it kills me that he got away in the way he did, just because we weren't aware of what are those devices called?
Oh, the beacons.
Yeah, we weren't aware of what a beacon looks like.
Yeah.
We walked right past it. We spent 3 seconds looking at it. And we're like, huh, this looks important. We'll come back for it.
Yeah. Some lessons
we-
are hard learned.
Man,
Yeah.
it was a super hard lesson for me to learn because I was so excited to finally figure out that it was creating the soft spots. I did not realize, because stuff would crop out, start coming out of the woodwork around those things, but I didn't realize it was actually, causing soft spots in the Miniwelkin.
Mm-hmm.
Man. And yeah, I would have duly noted it, but did that just never came up. I never saw that causation.
Yeah, but trust me, we're not going to ever let that one be a mistake we repeat. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
That was a one-time mistake, I think.
Well, they're getting really efficient at making those smaller and smaller and more.
Mm-hmm.
Because before we left to Paris in Clovia, basically the commander said, "Hey, go over to this church. The church is saying that there's stuff going on there." I said, we went there and we went through some of the tunnel work underneath the church, and we found one of the devices. Really compact, has a button on the side. You push the button, and it's like, did it stop? Is it done? Pull out the tessimeter. It's like, it's yellow, but it was yellow before. How long does it take for this weak spot to heal up or whatever else? But pick that up and take it out with us, and came back to the castle and said, "Here, we got it. Where's the commander? Because we're gonna." Oh no, she had told us that she was leaving earlier that day, and that's when we went in and saw the note. Or wait, did she tell us that she was leaving?
Not really. I think it was
Come in and
Deputy
check on me
Director.
later.
Yeah.
She said something like, "Come in and check on me later," and we went in and found the notes on her desk. And yeah, like she didn't think we were gonna come after her.
Just as a kind of a reference.
Oh, that's yeah, see, that looks great. That looks great as a hardback.
Yeah, it's got a lot more substance to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if I grab, get the advanced player's guide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that looks great.
So I know I really wanted to pull the trigger on this thing. I'm like, just get it right, get it right. So the margins were an issue. Even the alignment on the cover, you can see that it's not centered.
Oh yeah.
There's so much wraparound on the cover that you lose a ton of that. So I had to go back and rebalance everything. And I mean, look how tight that is to the edge of the book.
Well, wasn't Tom saying he liked that?
No, he says he wanted
Oh,
more
he
gaps.
wanted more big gaps. That's right. Yeah.
So I thought, it kind of sat in the back of my head after game night. I'm like, yeah, if it's not too much work, I'm like, maybe I'll take a look at it. But I was really just looking for nip and tuck stuff where I could just say, okay, it's done. And so when the book came, and I'm like, not only is it pretty tight to the edge, but there's a few other layout issues that I'm gonna go make this the definitive version.
Yeah, I did I mean, you saw the 3 quick ones I spotted, but honestly, it's hard to tell in PDF version versus print on layout,
Yeah. I think tomorrow afternoon I will push it up to the store. It usually takes somewhere between 24 and 72 hours for them to kind of make it live.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to order a real copy, not one that has this beautiful stripe across the cover.
What is that?
Not
That's
for
a-
resale.
That's
Yeah.
the proof copy.
Well, and it's not like the proof copies come any cheaper. I should have just ordered a regular book.
Yeah. So proof copy should have things like measurements. It should have things like, things around
Well,
the outside
this is-
edges.
This is a beta program through Amazon, right? They just, I think it's 2 or 3 weeks ago, opened up the hardback business inside of the KDP store.
Wow.
And I just happened to go in there because I was making changes to one of the modules, and I'm like, beta, hardback.
Wow.
Hmm.
So how's the binding?
It's really nice. I mean, if you look close, you can see it's a stitched
Okay.
Yes.
backing.
Nice.
It was better than I thought. It was just going to be glued back with a.
Hey,
hard
that's
cover.
gonna hold together better than anything Fantasy Flight prints.
One
Their
big
books just
glued-
crumble. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the crap that I got from
Oh, drive-through RPG, right?
drive-through. Yeah,
Oh, I can't believe how bad that is.
using the exact same source files, right? They missed every piece of transparency.
Transparency. Yeah.
All right.
Oh
Page
my
after page
God.
is just blown. The whole thing is just garbage. I'll hold on to it as a reminder not to rush to market.
See, and I really thought that drive-through RPG would be the answer in so many different ways, and boy, was I wrong.
Wow. And I
PDF
get
delivery.
mixed reviews online, but InDesign, I'm using the best tool in the industry for book publishing, and if they can't get that right
Yep.
in a PDF, I'm
Forget
done.
about it. Yeah.
Yep. Jeez.
I still asking myself the question between glossy and matte. We've kind of established that matte is the way we go.
Yeah.
But matte picks up fingerprints so easily. If you've had chicken nuggets, you're going to have chicken nugget cover forever.
It can wash off.
I suppose.
Maybe.
How well does that clean up?
Just ship it with a pair of cotton white gloves to wear every time you use it.
Yeah.
Now auctioning off Bug Gun hardback.
Untouched by human hands.
And now you're ready.
And then somebody walks up and goes, "There it is." Yeah. Or just like, rub it all over there. Yeah, okay. There's my thumbprint. Forever. Forever.
We've been
Indelible.
waiting so long for a hardback. I really want to get across the goal line, but we'll serve no wine before it's time.
Right.
And I'm sorry if it was like, what are you talking about, add a module? There's 64 pages. I'm just saying version 2, which would be $50, will also include module 1.
Well,
Yeah.
I think version 2 will include whatever John does for his Keurig Union extension.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go deeper into that myself, but I was so fried after that year of putting that book together.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right. This will be crap if I put it out with and then there's these people.
Well, and I had so many more notes on the KU that didn't get incorporated because they have. I mean, I had a whole separate map for all of the provinces.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to trim this down because every country kind of gets a page except Burgundia that got 4, well, 3, plus the intro image.
Yeah.
Good
And
reason.
the KU is huge. That was what that one commenter was saying. It's like, it's such a huge area and there's nothing in here for it.
You got this giant map that's a third of your page and there's nothing there. I'm like, yeah.
You got
Then
2
you say,
cities.
"Have you played Diplomacy?" Because that's exactly how diplomacy plays.
Diplomacy, where you go to lose friends.
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, you're Russia? Oh, you got 3 armies, more than anybody else, or 4 armies. You start with 4 armies." Yeah. Anyway, and you just start smashing people almost immediately. Steamroller. Anyway.
Yeah. John mentioned midweek last week that he wanted to transition his sister's name. What is it?
Largatha.
Largatha, yeah.
He wanted to move her from kitchen staff to agent in training, and so he's rolling her up as a third level character essentially.
Is he planning on playing her, or is she an NPC, or
That's kind of yet to be determined. Part of me is thinking, well, I think he wants to play her as a PC on a lower powered mission. So it kind of makes it interesting where if we're not only moving groups but players within groups. I mean,
yeah,
I don't mind going back and doing lower powered missions because I think those can be really fun.
Yeah.
But that's kind of one of those things where, Eric, if you do this general who's
you know, if he's gonna play Largatha, I want to play Oksana. I don't know, playing a werewolf as a character, or a Lukuru, I should say. Yeah, that's a different animal.
Well, essentially,
so to speak,
running now with a barbarian, right? He might as well be a Lukuru.
Yeah. I don't know how it would play, but it would have to be figured out as a player character, and it would have to have its own everything. It couldn't be played as a subclass, or it couldn't be like a fighter, it would have to be more like a druid. And maybe that would be the play. Would be acting more as a druid with shape change.
The problem is shape change is really weak. As far as like what you can actually shape change into, we'd have to do something there. I think Dwayne is technically a shape changer.
Okay.
No, he's an animal companion primary, shape changer second. So he's like one bracket behind on his shape changing, and he can turn into a flying insect now. That's what he can brag about.
Wow.
So
talk about like infiltration.
It's real. It takes a long time to shape change as a druid into something big. Okay. I think. Maybe he's just only choosing to do the insect forms. I don't know. I don't know. But if that's what you want to do and Keith gives you the thumbs up on that, I'm more than happy to help you write something up.
That it just would be a lot of fun. I mean, Simon
just for your awareness. Sorry, go ahead.
Simon is still a good character. I did not give him a good introduction, and I don't know exactly how.
Let's be clear though. You really could not, because it was like first strike against you. Icenian pencil neck shows
British.
Up around Bjorn.
Yeah.
Second knock against you. Oh yeah, and he's going to take the role of Banny, who you have basically as your brother. Oh yeah, this is going to go well.
That was kind of the impression I had heard of that whole situation. Is in a different group, Simon could have worked great, but it was not meant to be.
He took over a very tight-knit team as a liaison
as a stranger.
Leader. Yeah. He wasn't going to have any credibility, and he was going to be the punching bag for any joke that came to their minds.
Yep.
And Banny ended up being just kind of stepping into the forefront, and we just let Simon sit off to the side and go. You just go do your thing.
Those are the days of playing 2-player characters in the same
adventure. That was also its own thing.
I was going to say John Stone's available, but he's level 5.
But low-powered characters. I mean, I miss. Well, no, I suck most of the time. But I was gonna say I miss sucking, but I. How much damage did you just do, Banny? I'm
not touching that one. Yeah.
5, I think. 6. You rolled a 1. Yeah, I rolled a 1.
Yeah, so let's see. We would have whatever fighter Largatha is. We'd have Oksana as a barbarian druid, something there. I don't know what.
Something.
Some some mishmash of abilities that ends up in somewhere.
You could roll her up as a fairly normal character because it's not a rage thing. Anyway, it would have to be played with just to see exactly what
it would be a focus spell for sure. Yeah.
And who else?
But then what odd couple to put with this already odd couple?
Yeah, so you've got a
dog and her dog.
What did you say?
A dog and her dog.
Largatha apparently is super hot. I always thought that's the way that John's portraying her right now.
Handsome.
Maybe it's just
handsome is more what I got.
Yeah.
Right. She's a handsome woman with very ample bosom.
Oh.
If he tells you something else,
hot?
just imagine Bjorn with tits.
Oh
no! It's like, I am afraid. Death by snoo snoo.
When I gave her introductory description, I kind of said something to the effect that if all of her physical parts were a millimeter in any other direction on her face, she would be really unattractive. But she's just got fortunate enough alignment in all those features that it's an attractive presentation. So she's attractive in a non-traditional beauty way. You're like,
she's interesting looking.
Yes, you're like.
And if somebody punched her in the face and that nose just moves a little bit to the side, then it throws the symmetry off.
It would throw the whole balance off.
It's like, oh, no, never mind. And then she goes, and you're like, oh yeah, that works.
Okay.
I get these emails from there's this medieval company. They have this company that makes medieval clothing and so forth. I get emails from them fairly regularly because I ordered something once 8 years ago, and they have models that they have modeling their clothing, and usually they were like these svelte women, and they're everything's buttoned up in the back and super high lace. They brought in a model one day who was kind of a little bit rounder in the face and a little thicker she kind of had broader shoulders, but still kind of tapered a little bit. And she just looked kind of like a bully girl. I was like, that's Largatha.
That's right there. There it is. Now smile, and now frown, and there it is.
I'm trying to remember the name of that website.
Well, she only smiles at Cornell.
I almost sent that to John to say, is this Largatha?
Is this? Yeah.
Share a screen.
Oh, we can't share a screen on this.
Arm Street.
Breaks everything. Arm Street? Oh, yeah. Hey.
You can share your whole screen. At least it breaks everything.
Yeah, if I try and start fiddling around with things, it will.
There it is. German Rose full dress. That's the model.
German Rose.
Just post a link and we can each pull it up.
What is the name of it again?
Arm Street. I'll drop it in here.
Chat's down on the bottom right.
Tucked away conveniently in the middle of nowhere.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I will do this briefly.
Oh, okay.
It breaks everything.
Yeah, right.
I mean, not a traditional beauty, but you're like, okay, I get it. And it looks like she could kick ass too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I picture Largatha
even more
a bigger stature than her, even
a little brawnier,
a little more brawny. Yeah,
that's fair. I was really kind of looking at the face for reference, but But I'm impressed that they didn't just go for their typical twig model.
Right.
What's the name of the dress again?
German Rose is the name that got me to the model.
Okay,
it's in the Hangouts chat or the.
I know. I don't want to hit it again because it shifts everything over. Yeah.
Which one thing I really liked about the crazy character John brought in was the name of his ship.
Oh yeah, let me pull up my notes.
The Rose of Belfast.
Yep.
I'm like, that just invites so many ideas. I'm like, oh, that's, and that it's this ramshackle blade ship that's just, it's been everywhere, seen everything, and almost been repaired from most of the damage it's taken.
Danny
Almost.
boy.
So
Danny
where
McCord.
is good old Danny Boy? So there is. I just slapped it into the
He's
stream for a
he's
second.
baby shipping he's baby shipping the ship.
Baby shipping.
Baby shipping the ship.
Gotta love the baby shipper.
You may put P's and T's wherever you like.
Thank you.
Well, he is Irish after all, right? Or Magnetian.
Magnetian.
I just eat a whole bunch of marbles or gravel or whatever you want to say. Talk through it all. I just tossed it up on the Twitch stream. The one I think looks probably the more founded, but it's not actually. It's going to take a little while for it to show. So I will leave it there for a second and then delete it. But so Danny, it sounds like he's setting him up to be just another character or a future something as well. So it seems like he's seeding the playing field with a number of different characters that could take over when he decides to really, really bite off more than he can chew.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have seen on the site, I kind of broke out the adventure videos into groups.
Okay.
So you've got Drakenfels, and you've got
it's cool.
Matterhorn.
Oh, I haven't seen this one. Okay. Knight to King 6 coming soon.
It just the title kind of makes me chuckle.
You've always been really good at coming up with titles and names and stuff like that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's captivating. Like,
Well, and I was all over the internet because I'm not drawing any of these things. I'm just kind of harvesting and tweaking the images because I want it to be fast and I don't want to detract from other developments I could be working on. But I was trying to find a picture where the king's in the background and the knights kind of in the shadow behind him. I'm like, I needed to reinforce that because, 6 really means like, on your tail, like from a fighter pilot's perspective.
Right.
So
check
Double entendre is just kind of a fun thing to work with.
Technically, well,
to King
that knight's that king's not in check by that night.
Right. They're both on the same.
Is that an angle?
Oh, stop ruining it for us.
You need some help?
It's setting up the next move. That's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. It's going to get there.
So what is Knight to King 6 then?
So Knight would be its current location to King's Row 6 up. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what is it in reference to? Is there a YouTube?
Oh no, it's the campaign Keith's gonna run next. Yeah. This is next adventure after John's done.
Oh yeah, we opened up the Game Point Worlds Adventures
site.
And there's a cool picture.
I should do that.
If only I could.
So in that case then, does that mean that fading back? Oh wow, this is fantastic. It's a lot. So fading back a little bit where it comes to John is, as soon as we get done with the Matterhorn, you're going to step back in and...
Yeah, so the mission will include Bjorn and kind of the same cast that's here on this mission.
Okay.
So Cornell stays. Yes.
If he survives.
We'll see. It's going to be...
if you survive.
It's a fairly high-powered mission. Does that go underneath it?
those Yeti are really fantastic. I mean,
really
brutal
bad.
and fast and layers. Layers as in
So,
LAIRS.
so should we just shoot at snow lumps? I remember when like John gave that moment. It's like, what in the world is that snow lump? Bam!
Yeah, I mean,
There's gonna be crazy people shooting at piles of snow.
Every time that you succeeded, he would give you that description, which meant you could act against it for that period of time. But man, I couldn't spot that thing to save anybody's life, much less my own. But
it was bad.
I'm just taking pictures of it anyway. And then he brought up the whole, did you use the 35 millimeter lens or did you use the telephoto lens?
I'm so glad you took the portraits earlier, because otherwise you would have had the telephoto.
Yeah, I would have had and I thought about that and I'm like, but I didn't actually say that I swapped him out, but since I was taking the other photos and looking through the camera, and I kind of was looking through the camera at that point, but it was like general area. He really wants to take that photo and get a copy of it, and he's gonna stick it in it. He's gonna keep a
it'll
copy
still be
of that.
Some secret government organization is going to be called, and then it's going to disappear. But we don't know that. But anyway, I'm sure.
Well, Vanny's gonna take some liberties, make a few extra copies of these different photographs. He's gonna go into the dark room with the guy for one.
You think so?
Yeah. He's going to pay extra to make sure that he knows exactly where these photos are going, because develop the negatives. Okay, now let's set the photos, but no extras. And
I did think that was ballsy of you to say we'll get it developed here rather than like back at Nacht Richter, like just keep the capsule. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were so pressed for time. Otherwise, you probably would have had Isaac develop the film, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't have been attacked by two guys
that just like were expecting me to go, you got me, guys. Where are we going?
We had just said,
you're gonna take me to your hotel room?
Yeah. And we had just said, okay, we're going to go in pairs. Except for Banny.
Except for Banny, because it's like, hey, I'm going to go get this developed. See you guys.
To be fair, I think Cornell has messed up that group dynamic that you guys normally pair off into. I honestly think that's the case.
Well, because Cornell and Bjorn are so much better drinkers, whereas Benny's like kind of drinking, not really. Sometimes he puts a froofy thing down. It's like, okay, fine, I'll drink the hard stuff.
You're JD from Scrubs. One appletini, please. Hold the teeny.
Well, it's. I mean, I'll drink the hard stuff, but every so often it's like, I'm in a froofy land right now. Everybody's dressing in garish colors. Where's my Cosmo? Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way. I mean, it's not a psychological, like, intentional thing, but you're right. Like, they paired off to drink. The girls went to go back to the hotel.
And then Bonnie was like, oh, well, I guess I'll do my thing.
I'm just gonna, go somewhere else.
Really, I think Cornell needs to stick by Bonnie instead of Bjorn. It would be a better dynamic, and Bjorn can take care of himself because
he's Bjorn.
He's Bjorn, and John's DMing, and
yeah,
he's gonna take.
He's an NPC.
He'll put Bjorn where he thinks Bjorn should be, basically.
He won't murder his own character off camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right. It'll be on camera.
Yeah,
and it'll be glorious.
There's not much fun interaction there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think. I mean, that was a note I had made for myself actually. Is try to reposition Cornell a little better party wise.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's
especially
funny
after this. It's not like it's meta. It's like Cornell can say, "I need to do that.
I need to stay closer," because Banny is a strangely vulnerable character.
He's a strangely vulnerable.
He's 9th level, right?
He's 8th. He's 8th
level.
Yeah.
We're all
8th level ranger. He's
strangely vulnerable. It's like, am I going to draw down on these guys? But they probably are, at our level, or maybe just a couple steps down.
Right.
So,
but even they're outnumbered, right? They've got action economy over you.
Yes.
He had
It
an area of attack weapon.
means so
if you wanted to
much.
make noise, yeah.
He could steal an action from you every round just by doing suppressing fire.
Yeah.
Right?
But well, I liked, and we got to see a little bit of John's meta when he was like saying out loud, okay, honestly, this guy was just doing it for the threat. They don't want to make loud bada 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 bada. But that was awesome, right? It's like, yeah, exactly. So you know that as rational human beings, we don't actually want to make loud gun noises here in the small Bavarian town.
Rattling across the route.
I pulled up my notes, when we were talking to Rosa Belfast, and one of our rules of engagement is to specifically do not get into a gunfight in the streets. I just want to point that out.
Well, hey, we're not echelon, but yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, and all of Banny's weapons are also loud. So
true.
One thing that I really wish Banny could do is wield a knife or any sort of melee weapon with some effectiveness.
I mean, you could.
I could.
No, trained in them.
But
Banny and I are
bonuses.
Yeah. Right. Banny and I are both the same. Like we get a +1 on our strength to hit damage and to hit. So it's like my stiletto is really useful against really low threat environment, but you got to keep it quiet. That does annoy me too.
Well, I mean, if we had some sort of way to do like sneak attack damage or things like along those lines, then but that's not really our repertoire.
That's the rogue, yeah.
But there's got to be. I mean, I have a dex weapon, so I can hit things all day long, but I can do 1d4 +1.
Oh, what's your finesse weapon? The rapier or something, or
any simple weapon.
Oh, you could switch it to dex to hit?
Yeah. Any of those are finessable weapons.
I didn't think unless it had that characteristic finesse, like whip. Like that's why Robin has a whip, even though she used it, one time in like 6 adventures.
Short swords have finesse. I could be wrong. I think short swords have finesse.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Daggers, I think I'll probably go grab my stuff. And I know that like light maces, and we're talking the 1d4 light maces, also have finesse. And
let's see, daggers, light maces, sickles.
Yes,
it has finesse.
Dude, harvest that ass. I mean,
short swords,
but not to damage, just to hit, right?
Just to hit, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean that's not a small matter. It's like a 15%.
But you were talking about
chance to hit.
The fact that if you're an expert in certain weapons, like simple weapons, if you're an expert in simple weapons, that improves the amount of damage you do, like by +1 or +2, +3, right? Trained, expert, and master.
Well, for firearms, yes. For normal weapons, no.
No. Okay.
That's not something. That's a Burgundia rule.
Oh, that's
right.
Only applies to firearms, but you probably have weapon specialization.
The weapon specialization is still legit. Yeah.
Short sword is finesse as well. Yeah, you're right on that one.
Damn. Okay. Well, I mean,
but that means you get a D6 instead of a D4.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the most part, the fact that you can wield any one of those weapons just a little bit more effectively and slash.
I mean, let's be clear. A +13 to hit versus a +16 to hit is pretty significant.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So even if the damage is still only +1 with her knife, right? In a total crunch.
Every time I go up against somebody with a knife, I end up being very bloody, like extremely bloody, because like in the Hotel Budapest, that guy, when he like drops everything, pulls out a knife, it's just like, and I'm like, I can't get away from
Bunny's
this guy.
Too busy screaming to fight back.
Well, I had the Tommy gun.
It hurts.
I had the Tommy gun, and I did not. It's like you burn rounds so fast in that. So it's like, and it's like, didn't do a damn thing to this guy. Throw it off to the side, and I'm like trying to reach for my weapons and not doing very well there either. Man, we made so much noise.
I mean, legitimately too. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
was going to say Robin's weakness is the fact that she's, got her fetish for her 8.86s. I mean, like she will never, right? Literally until somebody puts a silenced weapon in her hand and says, "You must use this." It's either not going to be used because it's going to be loud, or it's like we've gone to danger demands that it's going to be used, right? That she pulls out last light. Yeah.
Yeah. Going loud. It's good times. I just realized that unless I had some sort of special ability or special property that would allow me to use weapons more effectively, handheld type of things a little bit more effectively, like using dexterity towards damage or something along those lines, then I could do a little bit more, and I would be willing to engage more directly. But yeah,
You're a lover, not a fighter.
well, yeah, it's like, oh, I don't want to shoot you. Even if I did shoot, I'd probably miss you, so I'm not even going to shoot.
No, it's just a warning shot.
This is a warning shot.
Right.
Oh,
I don't.
no, I actually
I don't have to miss. I chose.
I chose to.
I just wanted to let these Yetis know who is boss.
You just have to roll a bluff check after every shot.
Yeah. See, that was like the woman on the field she was a rogue though, I believe. Cardington, Fangs over Cardington. Yeah. She was a rogue, and she did a feint, and I totally fell for it. And then she clocked me. When she hit me, it did so much damage. She critted
it was a sneak attack?
And it was a sneak attack, and it was like, just rolled all this damage. It's like this big purple swelling on his face, and it was so devastating that, and I had the drop on her in a different way, and then I basically disarmed her or something, and shut the door, and then she's like, okay.
So what was it? 2d4 plus 46.
Yeah, it was some
plus strength.
Yeah. It was intense, and I thought you had critted, but I think you may have just rolled very well. But no, it wasn't. It was 2d4.
Well,
it was a crit.
If she critted him with a punch and a sneak attack, so at her level, I think it was like 2d6 for the sneak attack.
Ooh.
Plus a d4 for the punch. Plus strength. I think she had a +1 or a +2 on strength. Double that. Right, roll it all again, and then
it's like what we were talking about before the revision in the rule to make it rifle ace.
Yeah,
it's like Robin used to be really like with that extra d6. I think it was. Yeah, I mean a critical hit. Oh. I think Robin needs to change her underwear.
Jeez. Woohoo!
Again.
Yeah. What's fun is that we've got a lot of stuff that's still on either the cutting room floor that didn't get into the book or is reserved for future modules. But I mean, we've run the Noctrichter headquarters, Oberisk, and Habsburg Village so many times, but I'm recognizing how valuable it is to have one place where all that exists. Because today I've got 2 different binders, because we would adventure and I would just kind of stack it up and it would get separated out and it was never all in one place.
Yeah.
Now as I'm going through and editing, I'm like, oh, wow. I'm forgetting to put so much flavor in there that I wrote because I can never find anything.
That's in the other binder. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a story in itself. I mean, how much it has evolved under your touch as we go.
What's imperative is that the piano bar is in the first module.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Everything else is secondary. As long as the piano bar is in that. Is that
Mousefall?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Every time I've been there was just a radio playing. So the little crackly radio, and there's Rhapsody in Blue in the background.
Did they kill him?
Yeah, the piano got.
The guy who owns the bar plays saxophone, so he doesn't even play the piano.
Just waiting for the next guy to come in. Will you please play? I'll wait for Mike for this because like he was part of that great adventure, which was not a mission. It was the backstory resolution, right, in Zurich for Dave's character. Yeah. And it was kind of an homage to him and his character created and stuff. So,
well, I just dug all that up for John because I guess he's using Wolfgang more liberally going forward in some mission, or I don't know what he's using it for, but I pulled up the backstory that I worked on with Dave, and so it's really, I think, 2 pages of material, but it's mainly all of his associates, right? Because it had all these people that were part of his network that each of them gets a little paragraph. And that really was kind of how we defined his character. It wasn't so much Wolfgang, it was all the people around Wolfgang.
yeah.
Which that whole Anfa mission and the boxing club and all of that was around his backstory resolution, which started at the gunfight in Oberisk. The little drive-by shooting was his.
Yes.
So essentially, Wolfgang's a changeling, right? He was his parents at the hospital
wealthy
swapped him into the rich people's crib, stole their child, and he grew up not looking like the rest of his family, not feeling like the rest of his family. So, and what's funny is that he said, I want a mystery around my character, but I don't want to know the mystery.
Ooh.
Here's, he gave me the whole changeling thing. But he's like, recently, he was playing in clubs around Zurich. He always felt like he was being followed or watched or something, and he couldn't pinpoint it. So I just took that and ran with it and kind of developed the whole Camino backstory. Because Camino, who was the actual son of the Winter family, grew up with these bohemian parents. He kind of went streetwise and started his arms dealing business, but later discovered from his parents that he wasn't their child. He was Lord Winter's child.
No,
and now he's pissed. It's like,
I didn't know.
Here's this guy who has taken my birthright.
Right.
And he's throwing it away. He's sitting in piano bars, smoking with his friends instead of living on his family's estate, driving the family yacht, all that kind of stuff. He's like, I'm gonna torment this guy.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that fullness. Jeez.
So the drive-by shooting was him saying to two of his main thugs, I want you to go by and just shake him up a little bit. Let him know danger is a little closer. And that's why they didn't stick around to engage. But you guys shot up the car enough that they couldn't drive it back to Zurich without too many questions. So they burned it,
to ditch it,
in the river.
Right. So we did something.
Yeah.
And this would not be the last car that we would utterly torch and destroy.
Although you're starting to collect bad guys' cars and put them in the Habsburg stable.
Like trophies.
Do we take the limo? Should we take the...
We're going to need a whole new stables for this. We need another garage.
I know. I actually had to go into the castle and figure out where all the vehicles could possibly be parked.
Yeah.
And there's a behind the curtain wall on the west end of the castle. There's a fairly open field that's mostly level. I figured, well, if you were going to have cars stored on the property, you could cover them and put them down there. But even then, you don't have a lot. It's not like you're going into the James Bond garage and you've got
This is the rental car lot. Oh yes, can I have the Drachenfels? Yeah, okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, so it's been fun to evolve it, and it's what's been fun doing the editing on this is going back and looking at the original intent versus what
happened,
grew organically out of that. And you never want to fight that organic element because that's where the good story is. But
yeah,
we keep on coming home with new cars. Really nice.
That's what we were just saying. We've got a small rental car lot now. And so when you show up at the what Isaac, I guess, and you check in, make sure you claim your status. I'm a senior agent. I would like the car on spot A2.
Yeah, I
The
kind of
Rolls
figure
Royce?
right now that's probably Elias's thing. Even though he's over the armory, I'm going to kind of
Yeah.
consider the car as armory material.
That makes sense because a car can be used as a weapon.
The Thursday group just left the limo in Zurich, actually. We
See,
checked
that's
it
why
out.
you need Blanca. That's why you need Blanca. Just like minimize it to a coin, bring it back home.
Take it
Well,
back on the
see,
plane.
what we do is we take it to wherever we want, and then we send a message back and be like, "Oh yes, we left the car in Zurich. Go fetch it, please."
If you can send some fetchers.
Some agent in training is like, I've got a mission.
Yeah, I'm here to retrieve a car.
It's retrieval. What?
Who here has the
Did
ability
they put?
to
Where'd
start
they
a
put the
car?
keys? Where'd they put
Man,
the
these
keys?
training missions have really gone downhill.
You're going in deep cover. Deep cover. Here's enough money for petrol. Go.
Yeah, a one-way train ticket to Zurich.
Yeah.
You're being brought up for better things. Really.
Exactly. I mean,
Maybe we'll give you the mission to get 2 cars.
at
Two
the
train
same
tickets,
time,
one way.
Ben Hur.
Got this. One is from Icenia, and the other one is from Alemania. So you can steer just right here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good planning.
Yeah, I like that. That's another thing that John's kind of done that I was taking a different direction is he's keeping the car brands alive, like Mercedes and well, Auto Union was I think prevalent at the time, and I even used that one. But I was trying to find adjacent names for every car company so that it felt a little bit different. That's where the Wayfarer Pegasus, Wayfarer was essentially a rebranded Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
So I went through each of the countries and I had a sheet of all the different cars. I didn't put it in the source book because it kind of bloated that section. But I would love to release a vehicle guide and just here's all the cars. But I mean at that point I want an artist to render them all. I don't want just stats. I want drawings.
Yeah.
Right.
Vehicle rendering in general. So that also includes Zeppelins and blade ships and the different styles, like the external frame or the internal frame ships. I would love to see all of those different iterations. Ships in general, like boats. I mean, some of the artwork that you found that we were like, this is totally Alemania right here, with the banners off the ship and the vehicle
not being able to track down those artists and say I will pay you for this art was so frustrating. I'm like, this is perfect.
Free money.
Yeah, and nobody ever replied. I'm like,
it's like, where are you damn Russian?
You say, I'm just gonna give you exposure. It's really good exposure. No, just kidding. Slap.
Well, and the plus side, it forced me to draw more, which I'm like, it never hurts to stay practiced, but the burnout is real.
Yeah, but you did such a good job. There were so many of these things where it's like, I really need this, and I don't have it, but it's a founding piece, like the overview of Nachrichter.
Yeah,
that castle. It's like there's so many things like that you put in that just worked so good. It was really, really impressive.
I should go back to some of those early PDF versions and just do a compare and contrast between all the placeholder images and what actually shipped.
And it's like, but because it's uniform and consistent, that's the beauty of when you got involved and you started kind of shaping things the way that you needed them to appear and see. seen.
The comments on Amazon where they're talking about the artwork, I really appreciate, where they like loved the layout, the artwork, all that kind of work came together. I wish there were more stuff in there because I feel like there are pieces of the theme that aren't well represented. I mean,
it's hard to represent
like what?
everything.
Yeah.
Is there like a specific thing you feel was
There's
missed?
there are just not enough set pieces where you can kind of
The
drop in and kind of
noir.
try on the world. Yeah. I mean, the street lamp kind of stuff where somebody's exchanging a note, you know, just that little stuff. And I don't know that I have the dedication to do large multi-character art pieces. I can't do that and write it and run it, and something's got to give.
Yeah. And it's like backgrounds. Backgrounds are a character in themselves, and they are one of your more detailed characters if you wanted to do it that way.
Yeah.
I thought about like Bremerton when we went to Bremerton in Chinatown in John's World. That dock area and just how thick the soupy skies were, or you know, the air was so thick, and you had these like chains and moisture condensing and dripping off of it. You could just feel the environment just by the way it was described, and I think kind of capturing those a little bit.
You bring up a good point that I mean I really like the internet forces us to kind of do a more theater of the mind style combat. You know, you're close, you're medium, or you're far, right? It's like and John's doing a really good job of kind of helping us picture how far we are away. You know, it's like, okay, it's going to take you 2 actions to get there, that kind of thing. And he's got long experience at game mastering, but he still hasn't really mastered the rules of Pathfinder 2nd edition yet. And what's nice is he'll admit it and kind of say,
We'll
help me over the speed bump, right?
Yeah.
What's the mechanic?
Right.
And it doesn't get in the way of anything. It's nice. It's a nice humbling measure.
Yeah. But there are some situations where it's like I'm positioning myself in such a way that I'm directly behind him, and this puts me close to this over here, correct? And it's like, yeah, and then suddenly it's like the world just twisted around, and I'm like, oh, that's not where I expected it to be. Reached over and that thing wasn't there.
We all suffer from a little bit of that, right? I mean, it's hard to keep track of all that, especially when you've got you're moving the narrative, you're running your NPCs, and if you're holding all of the positions on a little piece of paper, which it looks like that's how he's doing it. He's not holding miniatures over there. He's just kind of scribbling and moving.
Scribble and have a little roughed out area.
I think it's more often it's just still in his head, right? He's picturing his theater of the mind and just kind of describing as we move closer. But I like it because it keeps us, I think, more in the world instead of playing the board game style tactics that tend to come around when you pull miniatures out.
Yeah, that's true.
I do like that strategy sometimes, but very not so much in a story game. It's like if it was a tactical game, then absolutely. And there are some situations where when we actually got down and dirty and laid out the tactical maps and started positioning things, it's like we are extremely structured. We're balancing our attacks against something and making sure that we're taking most advantage of those situations. But the fuzziness that this allows also is a fuzziness that allows us to survive a little bit better too. So it goes both ways.
I'm not in that square, John.
Yeah, that's I don't know how I got that close to him. Oh, he's got a 10-foot reach. Damn it. Okay.
What you got there, Mike? What's in the glass? Oh, you're working your. Oh, what?
Oh,
Evan
Williams.
But that's single barrel.
Single barrel.
Is it pretty brutal? Is it smack you in the face?
It's better than that Russell's Reserve. It's quite a bit better than that Russell's Reserve.
Go, Evan.
It's pretty good.
I flipped from a Moscow Mule to Evan Williams, but mine's not single barrel. It's just
Well,
regular.
I actually bought this because I remember that's what you were drinking last time, and I was like, yeah, okay. I wouldn't normally buy Evan Williams, but this, and plus, if Ken already likes the default, yeah, I'll give this a go, and I'm pleasantly surprised.
It's good stuff.
And it's right at that perfect price point of like $30 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It looks good. I'm going to check that out. I have not tried the single barrel.
Yeah, I'd give it a go. You know, they do the whole fancy thing where they have somebody write the the barreling
barrel
date
number,
and batch and all that stuff on the back, which is
That's what they've got the interns doing.
yeah, exactly. It's
Cool.
pretty good though. It's pretty decent.
Well, I'm back to the Ken's standard and my standard.
That's always a good one. Always a
The
good
bourbon of the Kentucky Derby,
You
sir.
guys make me want to do things. Gosh,
That's why we're here?
that's why you're here.
I'm going to go light tonight, so I'm not dehydrated at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You just got to switch to water at about 11.
one. Yeah, but the problem is actually making the switch.
The problem with alcohol. What's that?
There.
The hard part is actually making that switch.
Mm-hmm. When your judgment starts to go, so does the idea of following through on earlier ideas.
Exactly.
I can have one more. I mean, but
Why not?
You're doing pretty good.
Why the hell not?
And this combat is going so well right now.
Well, Mike, you commented on this earlier. Like when you go back and watch the stream, and you're like, "Oh, that's clearly where I was getting a little bit drunk."
Yeah. I'm getting sloppy.
Yep.
Super sloppy.
Yep.
And really, this is probably a great exercise if somebody at a university wants to do a study of people drinking.
What do middle-aged men who drink? How far does it go? What?
Well, how does this affect their behavior over the course of 5 hours or 6 hours?
How punchy do they get? Yeah. So I'm going with Long Branch.
Oh.
Branch
And
is
it's
good.
and it's
Beautiful
because
bottle. Beautiful bottle.
yeah, because Matthew McConaughey signed this, and then they iterated his signature over.
Does it come with a free Lincoln?
You know, I was actually at the liquor store. I bought this today. There was a rye bottled and aged in Utah. Of course, they buy the barrels from back east, like most of them do. Absolutely gorgeous bottle. If it hadn't been a rye, I would have bought it. Ryes are just hit or miss. Yeah, occasionally you get a real good one, but ryes are
hit and probably hit just a little too hard.
But gorgeous bottle.
Yeah.
I honestly wish I had remember what it was called so I could look it up.
Right. I was going to say I want to look it up. What's the name?
Let me think about it for a second, and maybe it'll come to me.
Have another drink.
That's not the way it works. The more I drink, the less I remember.
I'm going to see if I can find something then that's different from what everybody else got. I don't know if I
see. So you were talking about monitoring drunkenness over time. And it's like how much you drink. My sister does that. She's a highway patrolman who manages the alcohol, the breathalyzers, but she does more than that. It's much more in the line of she knows people who are intoxicated in various ways, whether it be drugs, alcohol, or alcohol.
Yes,
pretty much. Yeah.
So she's measuring and kind of documenting the effects of those consumed.
And she trains other patrollers. So she gets a volunteer who comes to these training classes, and over the course of the training, it's like, here, take another shot, take another shot, take another shot. And it's like watching a person slowly get more and more drunk, and then they take them home. But as a demonstration of this is how, at this point, they've lost their judgment. At this point, they're stumbling around.
I'd like to see them do like on a closed driving course. Have them, do a lap around kind of the obstacle course, do a shot, and just keep doing that over the course of the night. Measure.
They have the button that basically shuts down the car, hits the brake. Okay, they're going a little.
I used to sit down and play Forza Motorsport a lot, right? So I'd get in front of my TV and I'm trying to do track times, and I had to choose between having a beverage or getting a good lap time. Like, I get that you get sloppier, right? You think you're not sloppier, but you're making decisions either. I don't know. It's like you're taking more chances. And in Forza, one tire off the track fouls your lap, and suddenly you got to start over. And if you're on the Nürburgring where there's 8.6 miles per lap, and yeah, it's nerve-wracking, and there's no help from alcohol in correcting any of that.
Nope.
All right, so we're gonna go with
Maker's Mark.
that old standard. Yep.
Now, you brought one to game night 6 months ago that was had a number on it. It was like a
46.
Yeah, the 46 was good.
46 is good.
Normally, like Maker's Mark, it's got a lot of alcohol in your face. It's just, you can just feel the burn.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
Yeah, but that bottle you brought, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of good. And I went to go buy one. I'm like, nah, it's out of my standard price range.
Isn't it like what, 45?
Yeah, I kind of try to stay between 30 and 36.
Come on.
I'm this exact same way. I'm the exact same way. For bourbon, I'm looking in that 26 to 35 range. Like that's what I'm looking for, because you can get great bourbons in that price range.
Yeah,
you can.
That's fair.
You can.
Every time the Woodbridge has a double oaked that's like $54. But I was watching one of these YouTube channels where they review whiskeys, and they drink a lot of bourbon, a lot of whiskey in general. And so I think their taste buds are just shattered. So I'm thinking to myself, they're like, oh, this double oaked, it's just got this, punch. It's smoky, it's woody, and they're using all their caramel notes and
right.
Like that. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna splurge. I'll go get one. And I'm like, oh, $54. This better rock.
It made it taste worse, didn't it?
It did taste worse. I'm like, I'm a junior league drinker. That's for the pros. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, it's
flashback to that Scotch.
Oh yeah. Oh. But it's the long tail stuff. It's the unique stuff that's over here on the edges, whether it's super harsh or super, flavory or whatever else. It's this common area where you guys are talking that 25 to 35 range is in that just solid bell curve right there. And that's reasonable. But really, honestly, as soon as you start hitting these tapers on the side, it's really expensive because it's very unique, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's better.
My problem was it was my good snooty friend who I grew up next door neighbor to, and I remember I visited Kentucky about like 7 years ago, whatever, and I knew Maker's Mark, and he had the 46, and of course he was treating me like a host should properly do. I will, of course, indulge you in a more, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that this is good. Yes. It's like, damn it. Now you got me on that.
I figured out that rye. It's Destillation Distilling, full disclosure.
Oh.
Rye whiskey.
Full disclosure. Let's take a look.
The picture on their site doesn't look as good because it's backlit, and so you see through the bottle. In real life, it's a much darker color because the light doesn't shine through as well. Absolutely gorgeous bottle, I thought.
Nice, just really.
Well,
cut.
It's not trying to show off.
Yeah,
I like the hexagon.
Yeah,
I really do like the shoulders.
If it hadn't have been a rye, I would have bought that on the bottle. Look at the bottle itself. I wouldn't have even looked it up. I would have just bought it. If it hadn't been
I'm a bottle whore. I admit it.
Same.
Isn't it sad to get rid of a bottle? Like it's like, this is really pretty.
Well, when you've got a wood stopper, real cork, I mean, I'm like, this feels so wasteful to not find another use for this or reuse it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole decanting process to me is broken, because now you're taking a bottle and you're not even using it. You're dumping it into another bottle. I'm like,
so at least, put some flavored or some food coloring in it so it looks like it's real, and put it back up on the shelf.
So this probably isn't a surprise to some people, but like the younger brother of that same guy back when we were kids. Turns out during high school, he would collect the empty bourbon bottles, and then he would have the bottle row behind them be Everclear, so you couldn't really see. So his parents never knew that he was basically doing moonshine.
Mm.
You're from Tennessee or Kentucky? Remind me.
Kentucky, yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Those two boys were in a whole mess of trouble.
Well, I thought that Kentucky is a perfect place to make nice bottles because then you can drain them and take them out and shoot them.
Yeah.
Eric, is that the New World place up in Eden?
This is Rabbit and Grass.
How is it?
This is a
beautiful
tequila. Yes, this is why I bought it.
Tequila, okay.
That's got a thick
Ooh.
base on it. How much
That's
glass
gorgeous.
is in there?
It's a
That's a ton of
There's no liquid in there. It's all glass.
It is.
Well, now
That's a weapon.
This is also a really good tequila.
How much does a bottle of that set you back?
It's kind of spendy. Probably
How much?
40.
Okay. I mean that's less than like a Patron,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's less than
or
it's
in that same range.
but it was a really good $7.50. So in a reasonable sense. But Umau is one of the other ones that they had over there. What is that? What did you say? The place? What the name of the distillery is?
Isn't it New World? Something like that up in Eden.
It would make a lot of sense for it to be named that because of some of the other whiskeys or some of the other booze that comes out of there. Because Umau is considered Native American something, and that definitely had a New World look because of the old world maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking about running up there and like doing a tour with Chantel and stuff, but I just haven't got around to it. I've seen the Umau or Uma in the liquor store, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've seen any of their other stuff.
I'm trying to think of what the other stuff is.
I just pulled up their site. Yeah, they've got their gin, their agave spirits, which is the rabbit and grass. They've got a cherry liqueur.
I don't know if I
Barrel rested gin, Ogden Valley vodka.
They call it barrel rested gin. Interesting.
Yeah, it looks like it's brownish for a gin, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And they do have a bourbon whiskey, but they're sold out on a lot of these, it looks like. Interesting.
I just want to find a good bourbon ale. The Kentucky bourbon ale, so good. What do you got?
They're closed their tours again.
Oh.
That's a bummer.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all
I was looking for a bourbon ale.
I don't know what a bourbon ale is. What is a bourbon ale?
Yeah, that sounds very interesting.
You're making the ale, but you're doing it inside of the bourbon barrel. So it's been used already to make bourbon. When that stuff, Kentucky bourbon ale legit is just so yummy. I love it.
Oh,
Here, I'll let the dog out. I'll be right back.
I got the opposite. I've got the Stout Mates, Jameson Stout Mates, which
those are good. I like that
them.
That 3-pack. It's a nice variety pack. I'm still on this Destination Distilling site, and I'm looking at their write-ups for their cocktails. So they've got canned cocktails.
Whoa.
So they got Moscow Mule, Gin Ricky, Gin and Tonic, and a lot of these guys have their flavor text, right? So this one here says serving suggestions: pour over ice and lightly spanked mint leaf as
lightly spanked.
So bad.
So whenever we make pizza at my house and we're doing like fresh basil, I will pull the fresh blade off of the plant and bring all the oils to the surface because it just releases a bloom of flavor.
No way.
Yeah.
And then set it on the pizza.
It's like taking a garlic thing and just crush and then it releases. But yeah,
we got a basil plant. They'll do the same thing. I'm going to do that now.
Yeah, it's kind of nice theater too. It's usually when the kids come into the kitchen, I'm like, "You ready for your?" And I just recently took on calzones as kind of the thing we're doing here. So that will be the finishing touch. The calzone gets served. Spank the basil.
Stick it on top.
Spank the basil. Bad basil.
Lightly
Bad.
spanked, baby.
Mhm.
So
What's
Mr.
Ken
Haney,
doing out there at
Mr. Haney,
night? He's spanking the basil.
spanking the basil. Mr. Haney, so when is calzone tonight? We'll be right over.
Oh yes. Well, so we've been doing this thing. Laura will bring home what they call scone dough from the market in Kaysville, and there's been such a run on it lately that we can't find it ever. It gets bought up early. So I thought, well, I know how to make pizza dough from scratch. So I went and bought yeast, did the whole thing. And I'm like, this isn't as hard as I remember. I was always scared of the yeast because you need like 100, 110 degree water to really get it to bloom without killing it.
Yeah.
I've either always over or underdone it and it doesn't quite work. And I'm like, Keith, you're not a cook. Don't be afraid of this. So,
and so you did.
I did. It worked out. I was like, it made it. So, no more barrier crossed.
Another on the list of things that you learned in COVID.
Right. It's true.
I'm
down to my last 2 bomber bottles of my Hefeweizen. So I just reordered Hank's Hefeweizen. I'm going to start that process up over again because that was just delicious.
Oh. Well, you know, pre-COVID, we were all drinking Irish whiskey. Remember?
Yeah.
I mean, it was really that switch over end of March, beginning of April that bourbon found its way in.
Yeah.
I remember I had gone to the liquor store and we were getting ready to get in the lockdown and I just like, I don't know, I'm just going to grab a bunch of bourbon and I threw them in the cart and I called Dave the next day and I'm like, look what I got. When we get out of COVID or, you know, if we can get over, we're going to try these things. And yeah, that never happened.
Yeah. God, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had all, we'd been drinking various scotches for, it seems like years. And I think we had all just kind of gotten bored of that. And so we were branching out and we knew Jameson was good. Because I mean, that's us old standby. So yeah, I think we were exploring other Irish whiskeys. And you got on the bourbon tip before I did, but I latched onto that and followed you right in.
I'm on your six. Yeah, they're a little more palatable. I go back and I drink Irish whiskeys now, and the peatiness is a little off-putting.
Yeah.
I was actually debating buying a Glenlivet or a Glenfiddich. And just
like the Glenfiddich. It's the 12, right? Not the 15.
Yeah. Just because it's been probably 2 years since I've had that to see how I like it now versus how I used to like it. I didn't.
Well, the Dalmore was a nice touch too. At least it
Dalmore was
special.
Good. Yeah, Dalmore was good. Beautiful bottle as well.
Yeah. I went back and I bought a bottle of the Suntory. And I'm like, I don't like it now.
Oh, I still buy that every now and then, not real often, but like. Yeah, every couple months.
You were just mentioning Suntory recently. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, every couple months I pick a bottle of the Suntory Toki.
Oh yeah, yeah, we had that recently. Times.
I think I would still prefer the Robber's Roost over the Toki. They're very similar, but
the bottle.
They're very ethereal, right? They don't feel like they fill the glass in the same way as some of these heavier bourbons do. It's almost like they're missing a molecule in every swallow.
Just one short.
It's like, what's missing here?
I need to find a glass, Mike, that is worthy of the Nacht Richter logo. I was looking through my collection actually yesterday, and I was like, no, crap. No, it's already got some frosting on it. No, I'm like,
I settled on these. They're fine glasses. They're not as good as I wanted, but this is also kind of a test run. And then I had the 2 that turned out really good for Keith. Yeah, but, I mean they're a decent base. I would really like them like that much instead of that much.
Yeah,
but they're a decent glass.
I totally need to sneak away and just get myself like a really nice glass and then show up and say, Mike.
Please, would you do the honors?
So something to do with Laura does this for me is she goes out to like the dollar stores where there's like estate turnovers where people will just kind of bring things out. and she finds crystal and all kinds of really cool glassware, stemware and such. And she's found me a couple whiskey glasses in the past that were just unique as hell. Usually I get one.
Right. Yeah.
But they're really cool. And she picks them up for like $2, $3, $4. And
Yeah.
It's like,
I didn't have one of these until Lillian found it, but she couldn't find a set. It was just only one left.
Yeah.
So similar thing. So I'm like, okay, thanks.
I was obsessed for a while over the Blade Runner whiskey glasses, but they're so stupid expensive.
Yeah, they're not worth it.
Oh,
You're paying like $45 for one glass or something.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm looking
And
this up.
they're cool. They're cool, but I don't know if they're that cool.
I'd rather find
Just the square kind of.
Mhm.
Well, they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
they're square. They're just pinched in the
They
bottom.
just got a little attitude to them.
Yeah. That is ridiculous.
And the Norlands are really cool. I haven't drunk from one. I like the idea that they've got a vacuum to kind of keep the liquid away from your hand heat.
Oh yeah, I still have that pair sitting there, huh?
What I question about those is the lip gets pretty thick on the top because of the way the glass is formed. Laura has kind of ruined me for like fat rimmed glasses with all the crystals she's buying.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to be kind of one of those, I want bubbles in my glass like it was made in Mexico in a factory.
By the indigenous people wherever.
Yeah. Fight Club, you get it.
Fight Club, yep.
and now whenever I get one of those thick rimmed glasses, I'm like, oh, this is such a thug glass.
Oh, I just jumped over to this website called Joy Jolt and looked at their whiskey glasses.
Is this the answer to our problem?
The glasses that have the shifted base. I mean, it's like it's an artistic thing. It seems fun. It may be useless ultimately, but it does.
But it just looks cool.
They do have double walls.
Yeah.
Well, hell, that's less expensive than what we were just talking about.
Oh wow. Wow.
That
one. I really like that Aurora. The Aurora whiskey glasses there. What are those? Those are beautiful.
Is that under the double wall?
That is pretty.
There's nothing good under the
it's
double
just
walls.
under whiskey glasses, whiskey and Doff glasses. What is
available at Macy's?
Oh my!
They're pretty.
Aurora's kind of cool.
Which one?
Aurora. It's like halfway down.
Yeah, they got this.
That's the one he was just mentioning.
Yeah,
really.
They got this cool slanted kind of.
Yeah, it's angular. It's got. No, I don't know what to say. So I bought these.
Yeah, I've got a pair of those.
But
I think I have that exact glass.
So a little dragon on the bottom.
Yep, we have the exact glasses for martinis and stuff.
It was great. I have used these like twice, maybe 3 times.
Same.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Aurora's got a nice bit of swagger.
I really like it.
That's why it's sold out, right?
Yeah,
probably. And that comes with 4? No, what is that?
2.
It comes with 2.
A pack of 2.
That's pretty good. I mean, hell, these stupid. I mean, I love these.
The tin mugs.
Yeah. $20.
Mugs.
Yeah, 25. I can't remember.
I think it costs $16. What am I charging on the site? 18.
18, I think.
Yeah.
You're a very fine alcohol generator person. I don't know.
Well, those are fantastic coffee cups for camping trips.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a 10 cup, like a camping enamel cup, right?
Well,
yeah.
The edge on this thing is like unbelievably awesome.
I love it.
I didn't expect it to be as quality as it is.
I
can't afford a set of 4.
I have rust showing up all over the place. Of course, I've done stupid things like
You do?
leave it in the sink.
Oh.
It's my fault.
my God.
It's my fault. But that's okay. It's iron oxide. I get to up my iron intake.
Yours has some patina.
What did you pour in there, Eric?
I just poured the rest of what I had in
Oh.
here. Because I said, I've only used it 3 times. And it's like, Now 4.
4. Yeah, 4 times.
I do like them more than a standard martini glass because standard martini glasses they're just
They're
too
fragile.
tall.
Yeah, they're too
fragile,
tall, and it's just like, oh.
I do wish those glasses had more heft at the bottom, like they had done a thicker base, and then
That
they would be
would-
the perfect glass.
More glass.
For martinis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got this little plug.
Yeah.
So, and
At some point, that's gonna come out and ruin your glass.
Yeah, they said don't. This is not dishwasher safe. Do not put it in the dishwasher because that thing will pop, and then suddenly you have hard water stains on the inside of your glass.
I have
up all sorts
washed
of
mine in
fingerprints.
the dishwasher 3 times. I was
Bum,
willing
bum,
to take
bum.
that risk. Yeah.
Okay.
I like to live my life on the edge, you know.
Well, speaking of the edge, I pulled some raw chicken out of my fridge the other day. It had been there for about 12 days, and I cooked up a great mean. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be good. Why does this taste funny? I didn't get food poisoning, but
Really?
Lucky.
that was 2 days ago. So everything has since then gone in and come out, right?
Yeah, you should be in the clear, but wow, you're brave.
But there's something still in there waiting.
Just waiting. That parasite
But,
that's like, I'm trying to find a wall to get through.
So
I don't know. Chicken more than like a 4 days old has a smell.
Oh,
Yeah.
At least to me.
well, I was trying to.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm ex-COVID or something. I don't know.
Have you guys seen these Japanese whiskey glasses that have a wood? Essentially, it's a wood base, but it's also a wood coaster.
I have seen those ones. Yeah.
That's wild.
So
I feel like I would just lose the coaster. I'm not gonna lie.
That's part of the reason why it's not in my collection. Is I'm like, those two things are going to get separated.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of having that self-seating element to it.
But they are
very neat.
But they are attached, right? I mean,
No.
No, it's just gravity. It's the only thing that holds it in place. You lift the glass off of that wood piece and then set it back on it.
Oh,
that's cool because it'll always automatically recenter.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a cigar porn section.
Hey Eric, it's coming that time of season where it's really nice to sit outside and smoke a pipe or smoke a cigar.
It's true.
When you coming over?
When am I? Because
He's getting your pipe.
So
we need this night, but we need it in person.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be game, but now it's hangout.
It's just a hangout. Cherry Cavendish. I couldn't find just straight up black Cavendish.
You should put them in mason jars. I saw you have the Bovita in there, but you're still gonna leach through your bag, so put them in a mason jar.
That sounds good. But yeah, I. So here's the thing, I subscribe to one of these stupid subscription kits. Bespoke Post is the one I subscribe to.
Yeah, I've heard of Bespoke.
And they come in with that, and it's got the tool.
Oh, hold on. Your pipe looks really similar to mine. Hold on.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, you mentioned some things that I got from Bespoke Post. He's out. Ew.
He's simply getting his pipe, old man. Just wait.
Arr. Are ye hearties?
Oh, Mike.
You're muted. How? Oh, there you are.
That's an inline right here.
Oh, okay. I tapped
put my
this
spin
out.
back on.
I tapped this out on a stone. It was a bad idea.
Yeah, you'll get some chew there, but it's part of having a pipe. I mean, it's probably a $20 pipe if I had to guess.
Yeah, it's not super special. The little cleaning tools, the packing tools.
Oh yeah, you got like the full on fancy. That's a nice roll case.
It's a nice manscription you've got going.
Yes. I have
what you need, Eric. What you need. I don't know if you can see on.
Oh, a rubberized thing on the tip. That's perfect.
I've got a bunch of extra ones, so you can have one if you want.
That's awesome.
So it's just.
But it
on
makes
the
it
tip?
so you can actually, it makes it so you can actually
bite down?
comfortably bite down and not chew up your pipe.
That is fantastic because I don't actually bite hard on this, but it's really uncomfortable to bite on plastic.
Mike, your IQ literally looks like it just went up by 20.
Yeah.
Well,
Right?
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wear glasses too.
I need a patch.
No, you need a corn cob if you're going to get a patch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need one of these.
That
Douglas
is
I
lovely.
think it just went down 30 points.
Hey, that's MacArthur. Come on.
Corncob pipe. Baby.
No, these Missouri Meashams are actually a pretty decent little pipes, and they're pretty cheap too.
Well, I definitely, I'm ready for the season. Every so often, I'll just go out on the back porch and do it.
Well, we need to make plans because, like,
Is
before we know
everybody
it, it'll be
piped
like,
up?
oh, it's
Does
over.
everybody have a pipe that they can, or
Keith doesn't usually smoke.
No,
just hang out?
I love the smell.
I do. Pipe smoke is like one of the favorite things. I love going into a nice pipe store and smelling all those things. But I've had asthma since I was like 14, and smoke and I just don't get along.
Don't get along.
Mm.
Yeah. So Utah and you don't get along right now. This summer.
I didn't ride my bike at all this year because of all the California smoke in the air.
Yeah.
It's more damage than good.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to like light up my Zwift account. I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna have to ride inside.
Well,
Mm.
I mean,
it's
with cigars
now-
and pipes, you aren't supposed to actually get it into your lungs.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm pretty good. I mean, I've done a few cigars in the past where you just kind of take it in your mouth, let it
And then let it
right,
out.
and then blow it out. But there's always just a little bit that kind of
There is. It's
Well,
a little bit.
it's meant to actually just hit you a little bit because that nicotine shot is really what you're still shooting for when you're doing it.
yeah. It still messes with me, and I still get queasy. I'm
Really.
a punk. I can't handle it.
I used to I did like straight cigarette runs for a while, hanging out with some friends, and it's like if we're going to a bar and we're doing the thing, I'm gonna try smoking cigarettes. Never a fan, especially after, and that's why I have a really hard time smoking a pipe, because as I smoke a pipe, I know that I'm wearing it after that. It's in my mouth, in my throat, my nose, and
your
all
beard
over
will
me.
carry it.
Yeah.
Even if you like shower and scrub it, it's in your hair for a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
It sticks
Shit.
around for a while. So I'm
Well, I mean,
not,
yeah, you're just constantly breathing smoke in and out, right?
Yeah.
Right here.
Right. And
Yeah.
and if you've seen people with white mustaches, and if they're heavy smokers and they blow through their nose all the time, you get these yellow tracks from what the smoke stained their yeah.
Well, that's why it's way more fun to smoke in character than in reality.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
it's hilarious because most of the vices that look sexy are not actually pleasant. So the drinking and the heavy drinking, you're like, yeah, I want to look like a heavy drinker, but I don't want to be a heavy drinker. Or, oh, I want to smoke a pipe, but I don't really want to, smoke a pipe. Or maybe there's cigars. There's a whole bunch of these different vices that I think are amazing. Like old fashions. Oh, do old fashions all day. No, I don't really like old fashions.
Oh, come on.
I like old fashions.
I
Old-fashions,
can,
yeah.
and an old fashioned goes well, but sometimes it doesn't.
Mike makes the best ones, by the way. Just gonna say.
I make okay ones.
Nah,
I think I
I've had
overbittered.
two other people who made me old fashions. Yours was the best that I've had. So your best of three.
Best of three.
I think I overbittered the one I gave Keith because I was trying to cover up that nasty Russell's Reserve.
Oh. It was a nice cocktail, but that Russell's, oof,
A little strong.
that was just this side of paint thinner.
Yeah, it just had a really strong bite, but no good flavor to have a reason for that bite. So
Shit.
it wasn't good.
Mm.
So avoid Russell's Reserve if you.
I'm trying to imagine a world where that's a good drink, even in a cocktail. It's so abrupt.
Yeah, there's no reason for what that was.
There you go. Anybody on
like,
Twitch who's
put it on scale with wild turkey, because I don't like wild turkey.
So I don't super love Wild Turkey, but like Long Branch is made by Wild Turkey.
Wild Turkey.
I like Long Branch.
Oh, sure. But it's different. I know. They
So,
do it different.
it's like Long Branch, Wild Turkey, Russell's Reserve.
Yeah. Whoa.
That's an indictment.
So,
Yeah.
and
Well,
how
this
expensive is
condemnation
Russell's
brought to you
Reserve?
by Knock Richter.
Sorry, what was that, Eric?
Where's it? How much does it cost for Russell's Reserve?
Costs
Is
like it's in that $36 range.
Oh, okay.
ish.
Okay. So but it's not actually in the bell curve. It's one of the long tails that's like,
Yeah, it's not good, but they label it as, oh, it's our aged 10 years made by Wild Turkey, and this is the family that started Wild Turkey, and this is their special reserve, blah blah blah. And it's an okay looking bottle, like the label looks nice.
Yeah.
Well, you would expect that they understand that presentation is 3/4 of why people buy.
Well,
certain
they
boozes.
sold the bottle to me because of their presentation. So
Right.
who's the sucker, I guess?
You give me a pretty bottle, I'll just
At
dump
least
the
once.
booze and do.
No, I mixed it, which is a shame for a $36 bottle of bourbon.
Oh,
I made old fashions with it. Normally, I buy like a $20 bottle of bourbon if I'm gonna mix.
Yes, exactly. Right.
I do that same thing.
Serious topic. All four of us. Sorry, I can't count myself. All four of us. Are we thinking we're gonna go to Gen Con 2022?
That's far away. Ask me in 3 months when we have to decide on tickets.
Okay. I'm just still planting seeds.
Well, now I'm trying to get flush on all sorts of mileage, like flights and miles and so forth, and I'm doing a pretty good job. So I will definitely have flights covered for myself, but hotel would be the question, and how I wanted to handle that.
Yeah,
I was looking at Airbnbs within a couple blocks of the convention center, and really we're looking at about $300 a night per person.
Per person. How many nights? 3 nights? 2 nights?
I was debating going in a day or two early so that in advance of the convention we could just have a 2-day blitz of just like gaming marathon.
Hanging. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And just have a module ready, and we'll just play.
We do it like we did in high school. You're saying,
yeah,
like the all-nighters,
like you've got no parents around the house.
Yeah,
and everybody's got bad breath in the second day.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the next day, it's like, anybody shower in here?
The hard part is I couldn't find a place large enough. I mean, if I say this is the group that's going, we could kind of, I think, manage it under one roof.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get kind of a partial accommodation, so we got to kind of figure out, who gets the bitch room,
who gets to sleep in the living room. Yeah, the couch.
AKA the couch with the fold out.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what though?
Who's got the best back? I mean, ultimately, who's got the best back?
Hey. I know where this is going.
Youngest person.
I'm not going to allow it.
I know why you're saying that, but I sleep pretty much anywhere. I mean, I think I could probably I could take that for the team if I had to.
Rustic.
Mike brought up a good point that if we all buy our tickets under one name and put all of them together and then get a room reservation, we could get a hotel room where we're all in close proximity. Last time we got blown up because we all jumped in under our own reservation.
Yeah. Well, okay. If you do separate flights, but then reserve one time at a hotel, say 4.
Yeah. So if we say, okay, everybody who's going will purchase it under one account at the same time, and then we should get a room at the same location.
Okay.
Right? Because Mike, you and Dave had like the primo location.
It sounded great.
It was fantastic.
It was
you just walked across a bridge, right?
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
I was envious because we were 12 miles north or whatever the hell, and that sucked.
And Eric and I were like, I don't know, 12 miles west. I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
So did you two book through the Gen Con lottery, or did you book through your
We did
Travelocity?
separate. We did separate.
Okay.
I think it was like a Travelocity or a kayak or something.
Yeah,
along
it
those
was
lines.
like Travelocity, I bet. Yeah.
So yeah, what Keith is saying is if you buy your Gen Cons, you're included in the hotel lottery. So if we have one person buy all the Gen Con tickets,
Oh,
Right.
that lottery
That's
will
what you
put
mean.
them into the same
I was
hotel.
thinking
Okay.
flights.
Okay.
It's like
No,
after, at the
flights,
flights,
everybody will buy their own
buy
flight.
the own flight
Cool.
separate. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that doesn't make. But now that makes sense.
Go
like
flight.
So, and that would be cheaper, right? Because likely they get a decent rate. I mean, you're probably looking at 100, 120.
I want to say it was 150 a night for me and
So
Dave.
easy.
So
Yeah.
it was 300 a night per room, and then we split it.
Yeah.
I think.
What would be nice is to be able to kind of just congregate in the same area, which is what I thought. If we do an Airbnb and we get an actual house, we've
Right.
got
We can do it around the
we've got a
dining
common
room.
living room. I mean, I found one with a pool table in it that we could kind of use as a game table, that kind of stuff. I'm like, but
We can also do hotel lobby all day long.
The Marriott had tables set up all over the place for people to sit at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with the hotel thing because I think Airbnb, as cool as an idea as it is, when the cheapest one was $700 a night, but with all of the fees and cleaning and all that, it ended up being way more expensive than that. And it doesn't matter how many ways you slice it, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And you still had to get to the venue each day.
Well, it was only 2 blocks away. You remember the little Irish bar 2 blocks east of the convention center? It's upstairs from there. That's where all those lofts are.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of a noisy section of town till wee hours.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's down there just getting trashed.
Weren't we there at the Waffle House? Where were we?
When is Gen Con? August 1 through 4? 1 through
August
5?
4th through the 7th.
4th through 7th. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not looking at this for a while, but if you want to book out a hotel, what time? When do they open up tickets for actual Gen Con?
Well, that's what we're saying is to do it with Gen Con and then go in the same. You're saying the hotel lottery.
When do the
late
tickets go on sale?
January they do. It's either late January or early February when they do their.
Okay.
Right.
And that's
It'll be fun to kind of go back and as a troop, we'll have more experience this time, and just part of me doesn't want to just do the convention though. I mean, if we have some time to just be ourselves and hang out.
Yeah.
The problem with adulthood is you don't get to be that stupid teenager that doesn't have any rules.
Yeah. Just hang out.
We pretend every Tuesday. Pretend. Yeah. But then I will always forget the fact that it's garbage night tonight.
Yeah. The last 2 weeks in a row, Laura's had to call the recycle company to come back and pick up our can because I missed getting it to the street.
Oh,
I just want to thank the Davis County school system for whatever reason randomly picking Wednesday to be the late start for junior high school and high school. Thank you, Davis County.
Yeah.
Lillian was just saying, like, so you're going to change that night to another night? And I'm like, oh, that would suck. As it is, it's like school is 2 hours later the next day. I don't have to get up for 2 extra hours. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, when we play till midnight and then talk till 1 or 2 in the morning, Wednesday's a rough day.
It can be a really, really rough day.
It's a hangover day and everything.
Well, thankfully, I'm part of a whole bunch of conferences, and it's all video. It's all online-based stuff, and for the most part, I'm okay. But every so often, there's the 8 o'clock meeting that ends up on Wednesday, and I'm like, I have to wake up at 7, drag my ass out of bed, then scrub my face so I look presentable. Right now, I haven't shaved in I don't know what I'm doing.
Tuesdays is actually my longest day because I have the team in Belgrade, Serbia.
Yeah.
It's the end of their day, so it's like 5 p.m. for them. So 7 a.m. is like the only overlap we have.
Oh wow.
And so I have to get up early to have my meetings with them. And then it's a very, very, very long day.
Yes.
By the time we hit midnight, 1 a.m., I'm like,
Gary. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're losing years off our life, but it's for a good cause.
Those are the years at the end anyway, so I'm fine.
Yeah, those are
Right.
the
I didn't
crappy
want
years.
them. Yeah.
You won't want to give them up even then, but they're still the crappy years.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, you get up at I get up at 6:30 also on Tuesday. It's just the fact that Wednesday gets to be like I'm going to try to make it. But yeah. But the problem is, and you know about this because we're about similar age. Still, your eyes are like they open up like within 30 minutes of your original wake up time. Like go back to sleep. Stop it. No, stop it.
It's
What's hard is if you roll out of bed and just jump into a meeting, you got that frog throat.
Oh yeah.
Everybody knows you just woke up. They're like,
What do you,
I've got a sore throat.
I just haven't had my coffee today. I'm sorry. Got to gargle with some of my leftovers.
Exactly. This will take care of it.
What's funny culturally is that all the meetings that are that hour of the morning, we don't turn our cameras on.
Oh yeah. No.
Nice. Very nice.
No way.
It's
in
kind of
hell.
an understanding.
Yeah, it's like you don't need to see this.
You don't want to see this.
Yeah. It's like
You'll lose
look
all.
like, I look like that in the morning. And it's like one of the meetings that I have is with this very professional woman who is an hour earlier, and she's a very attractive person. It's like I need to look at least semi-presentable, but she gets up an hour earlier than I do,
Right.
because she's central, and so I get out there, I'm like, I just splashed some hot water on my face, and look at these bags under my eyes. Anyway,
Like, Eric, did you lose a fight?
it's like, yeah, with this.
Oh
the
my
clock.
gosh! That night that you were up till 2:00 in the morning, something with Mike talking on after.
And that was probably one of those nights where I had to wake up at 7 a.m. to prep for the meeting at 8 a.m.
You did mention you had an early meeting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And still,
I watched that one. That was, and it was funny because you were trying to get somebody to like
just chat, say something. I will
buy you a book.
I will buy you a book. I will send
buy
you
a book. Just put something in the chat.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Either they're bots or they don't exist, or
if that recording just got lost to the ether, I wouldn't hit it.
Well, me stumbling around in my speech completely plastered. That is that's like cringeworthy. Like,
we should have a broadcast called The Last Hour, which is the last hour of every game night.
You got to do this. That's great. The last hour.
What a joke.
Here's the problem with our content, right? We spend 5 and 6 hours doing this storytelling thing, and it's a lot to consume. Right.
Mm-hmm.
As I go back and edit it and push it up to YouTube, I break it into thirds. So I try to like hour and a half or 2 hour segment. And it's a lot, right? If you were to try to consume all this media, you're giving up a 6 hour portion of your day.
Right.
But people aren't doing it directly. They're watching it on the side. They've got something. They've got people talking to them in the background.
Right.
And there are some people who just watch people eat. I don't understand.
Well,
it, yes.
We're offering you eavesdropping material.
Yes. That's it. Well, so those watch people eat and ASMR. I could do that all day long. Just let me pull my mic a little bit closer.
What does that stand for?
ASMR. It's the sensory where it's auditory sensory something where you get really close to somebody's head, or they have these microphones that look like ears, so they have a 3D directional sound to them. And if you and then you get really close. So
Ken, your mic does not work when you put it that close.
What happened?
It gets really staticky and bad.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
it's the autonomous sensory meridian response.
Oh, so it has autonomous, huh?
Autonomous.
No, it's auditory.
Auditory.
It says
autonomous sensory. I'm just Google. Maybe Google.
I
F'd
think,
me.
yeah, I think it effed you, boy.
Wikipedia.
Or
Wikipedia.
maybe it is autonomous. I could have sworn it was
That is
auditory.
so weird.
Look at that. Auto-sensory. Yeah. Okay.
Goes through
Learn
your
something new every day.
I know. I think of the
Autonomous
auditory
sensory
too because it's
meridian
always what
response.
it is.
Is
Yeah.
it tingling sensation and goosebumps and stuff like that. I mean, it makes you go, oh! You know, if somebody walks behind me,
Right.
I immediately get that. Get away! Get behind! And of course, living with a lot of older siblings, it's like they would walk up behind me and they would slap me on the back or slap me on the shoulder. And so now from here on out, anybody who comes up and taps me on the shoulder, just a tap, I have an immediate response. It's a stress response, and there's PTSD associated with it, and I get very angry. Very, very angry.
Here's to the stress response of Eric.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if I really deserve that, but I'll take it.
We feel for you, man.
So just to kind of circle back around to Gen Con next year, 2022, I feel like we owe ourselves that little journey.
We do.
I'm totally good for it. I'll bring my Aurora whiskey glasses.
We've got to find a much better adventure for our Pathfinder experience, though. I cannot repeat that crap thing we did last time.
Wait.
I mean, do we even want to bother doing Pathfinder Society?
Was there any clue?
Well, I don't know if it was a year or two prior that Dave and I went and had a really positive experience. We were the last two into the Pathfinder room before they closed the door. There was a line queued up down the hallway we jumped into just for chance.
But that was probably Pathfinder, not Pathfinder Society.
Pathfinder Society doesn't sound appealing to me because of the static nature of it.
You weren't there for that, were you, Eric?
Which?
No, neither Eric nor I participated in that Pathfinder Society game.
You guys dodged a bullet. Holy moly.
We were doing our own. Yeah, we were doing our own. What was the game we did?
That was the token game, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Oh,
which was a lot of fun.
The live action roleplay one.
Right. We went to the stadium. No, not that one.
No, you're talking about the one where you have the tokens to use for your attack and stuff.
You launch it for your attack. Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was just totally different.
I wanted to do the one that was because they had one that was kind of set up haunted house style, where you could kind of wander through, and they had like full sets.
We couldn't get in it, right?
And then there was the budget version of that where you stood in one room and just kind of got read a narrative and you
Okay.
That's the one that we played.
That's the one we were. But that's the one that had the little chits, and the chits were exchangeable at the end of it.
We didn't have any, right?
No, we walked away with some, and it's like, these are actually worth money. And you've got this guy who like rolls out this case, and he like pulls out these things like trays of these things, and it's like,
those were like legitimate like Vegas style weight.
Yes.
Yeah. They they had a little heft to them, which is why the guy had the stupid case, and it's like he brought it along, and you'd look inside of it, and it's like a treasure chest of these little tokens.
He probably had thousands of dollars in there.
Yeah, especially
to be honest with you, I hate that.
It's
just like too much.
Yeah,
too much.
Especially somebody who's dragging a case around. But it's like the eBay experience where you go out there and it's like, I'm going to buy that one because if I get that, then I'll have a +3 on my attack rolls here and blah, and I could wear these boots. And it's like you could outfit your character with all the different slots. And
you could show up, you could show up in game with all this shite that was like what you brought.
Shite.
But I mean, that's the same problem with Pathfinder Society is you show up with your Pathfinder Society character that I guess you have a pre-gen, which is what we had because it was a...
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. But Pathfinder Society has that same thing where you run adventures and you get your equipment and then you show up to your next game with your shiny new equipment.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, it's just not...
I think it's a great idea. Just avoid that, but maybe see if something that's Pathfinder Second Edition, but this sounds like a cool game.
I'm positive we can find somebody else that is just looking for people to sign up to run a game that we could probably jump in on.
Yeah,
that is not
wonder if
society.
We could even provide that thing, right? Can we do
Say-
like we did at SaltCon and just say I sign up to run something?
Yeah,
Why not?
Probably.
I don't know where
Do you want to run? Do you want to run a group at
Well,
Gen Con?
If we're all going to be there, I'd much prefer to play with you guys. So
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Right.
I will
But
say,
to be
though,
fair, you will, right? I mean, if we do this plan where you get like a couple of days before we just have.
Well, yeah, there's that, right? We could hang out and just blitz it, and then the day of the conference, go in there and say, "Okay, Keith's going to go be a stooge and game master for strangers."
And I will say,
for
it was
a session. For a
it was-
session. It's not like it's the whole,
Right.
it was a blast. I wish anybody had experienced it besides me, but when we sat down at that table and we had all these people gather around for Phantom Radio, it was an intense experience. It was a great experience.
I would wager you guys ended up with better than average players at your table, though. Well, as far as like newcomers to RPGs, maybe.
Keith knew 3 of the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was one guy who was a standover from the day before, and that was a good game the day before. Yeah. But we had one guy who was just a little off. He was playing Banny, but the really weenie version of Banny. If Banny were a straight up weenie, that would be. And I don't mean to bash on him, but
that was your first go through of Phantom Radio, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right.
Oh, it was beautiful, but he had to trim out a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
To fit it.
Yeah, but the thing that ended up happening was we were assaulted by a guy on the street as we were going to the first tower.
The Norman?
The first, what's that?
The Norman?
Just a thug, I think.
It was.
Okay.
I think it was the Norman because he was taking pictures of us.
No, that was Paulo then.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was like one of the reporters, and it was Marek and Blanca. Blanca went up to him, and I said, "Well, I don't know what Blanca did, but she basically said, oh, hey, I'll take a picture of me here." And she's like posing for him, and she's like, "Here, let me take a picture of you." And she takes the camera and she throws it on the ground, and the guy freaks out and jumps and grabs the camera. And then she reaches down. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to drop it." And then she reaches over and pushes the film eject, or pops open the back, and the film just falls out. And he's like, "No!"
So much smarter than what we did.
Yeah, Robin and Edward posed for photographs and just ignored the photographer taking pictures of them.
Or Wolfgang.
No, it was Edward, wasn't it?
Edward. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
And then
like the security guy. The security guy just lets people take pictures. Like, come on.
And at that point, that guy grabbed his bundle and he runs off, and then somebody comes in to attack from the side, and so somebody came up with fists flying, and
the protector, right? The thugs.
And
then you had zealots and thugs and the photographer. And the thug was trying to protect the photographer.
And he did not do a very good job because he came in a lot later, and that whole episode with Blanca was it was beautifully done. She did a great job.
It was fun to watch a female take on that role, right? So here's a woman, I'm guessing she's in her 30s, kind of inhabiting the role of this 17-year-old precocious caster, and she owned it really well.
I gave her a lot of tips.
It was fun to see her because she really enjoyed inhabiting that character and lavished in the attention that came with the spot, used her wiles in interesting ways. I'm like, it felt much more authentic than the 50-something-year-old black guy.
Taking on a role. Oh,
push y'all.
It was pretty phenomenal. And Marek did a great job. and Mark was played by a woman too, came up and just, just knocked the protector out, the thug out. And then we bound him up and threw him in the back of the van. And then they interrogated him as we were coming back down off the tower. That's when we realized, oh, this is a repeater station. And we're basically going through and disabling the repeater stations. But Keith let us get by some of that because we got information about his medication. We got information about how he communicates. We saw the war chalk and everything. And then we staked out the war chalk, and we found the newspaper boys doing it. And so we wrangled one of those guys and scared the snot out of him, and he told us where else to go. So it's like we cornered a whole bunch of different spots at once. And I mean, Keith was giving it to us. He let us in.
Set up the encounters so that you could cut to some things.
Yeah.
We essentially had 5 hours to do a 9-hour adventure.
Yeah.
Right.
2-night adventure.
That's a long adventure, really. It is.
It was fun because it didn't require a lot of brutality. It could be done as a pure investigation, and that's I mean, there's moments.
Especially when the end of
the final throwdown.
You didn't fight the Umbra, did you?
Nobody did.
No.
So you didn't get to the point?
Well, we went and investigated that. So we split into 3 groups after that night. And it was just to speed things up. And somebody tracked down the newspaper boy, somebody tracked down the medication, and the pharmacist. And we were all like, HIPAA? But no, nobody cares about that kind of shit.
The year is 1933. Shut up.
You can't tell them, no, everybody gets this rash, and that's what it's for, and it's this guy over here. And, so it was a little loose, fast and loose there. But then I went with Blanca, and we investigated basically the incapacitation of the statesman.
Were you playing Bonnie, or were you playing someone else at this point?
They gave me Bonnie. Everybody took somebody, and I got Bonnie. So I was able to de-weenie him by the end of the
Good work.
So Friday he watched somebody else play him. Saturday he got to inhabit him.
Yeah. but it's like it was the weenie version of Banny. That's what I was saying.
So where did it conclude then? So you got that information. It's like
we didn't get to showdown.
Right.
We were really close. By that time, they have packed the entire room around us, and they were like, "Okay, I'm not going to get a good night's sleep anyway, guys. So just clean up when you can."
They were kicking us out.
They were kicking us out. Yeah. And
it was 12:30.
And we just got a recap at the end, and it was we were closing in on his place. We were going to get to him very quickly,
but then it would be like something.
It was so weird because I had a moment where my friend who was there with the girlfriend who played Blanca, he was playing Wolfgang, and he's like, "What sense does this make that this person comes?" They are inciting this kind of rising up and revolution, but they're using the language that would affect them or hurt them. And it's like inciting violence or inciting people doesn't mean that you're trying to initiate them into your dogma. No, you're just riling up against the powers that be. Why don't you get that? And I realized, that's why we have such a disconnect in politics.
Well, and there was clearly a misunderstanding of motives, and he almost derailed us, trying to pull us off and say, well, this doesn't make any sense. He's talking pro and anti-magic at the same time. What's going on here? And we would have dropped into one of these, hour-long debates.
Yeah, weird debate. And it's like, no, they're inciting violence. They don't care about the dogma that they support or that they have. They're just trying to incite violence here. And I mean, when Keith kind of explained the ramp and the escalation that could happen over multiple days of allowing this to happen up until the time of the festival, it's like, oh my gosh, this could be really, really bad. And you could have, gunfights and all sorts of craziness erupting from basically them rising up to unseat the the current government are, having a big old riot on their hands. And that's something Echelon just wanted to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.